That's been my fun day of. But I was trying to sleep, but it always happens. And every time I try to sleep like a real person, something ruins it. And so I don't know.
Real boy.
I had a little bit
Yeah,
of rice for dinner. It was
Uh,
my youngest of my post womb children is going through a rebellion of sleep, and we're expecting the
mm.
mm,
one who's still womb side any day now. So
Oh, that's
uh,
right. That's right.
yeah.
so we're
You guys are
gonna
like weeks out, aren't you? Like
yeah, I'm hoping that he
you're
gets
just
his
about
sleep
there.
under control before the fourth one comes.
Buckle up, Buttercup. It's about to get bad. Wait, so the one that's on the other side, because I have a 2-year-old and I have a 1 month old, and it's like the 2-year-old was like, I don't know. I went in there at like 1 in the morning. She's doing some kind of weird baby party. She climbed out of her crib. She pooped in her pants. She had pulled out a whole pack of wet wipes and had them in a whole mound. It was just like dancing around. And it's like, and we have to deal with this other one who wakes up every 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And you have an older one
one.
too.
I got one turning 5, one turning 4, one turning 2, and one about to be born.
Oh,
That's
So
awesome.
You've lived through the 4 and 5, being 1 and 0 already, so you know what you're in for.
hmm
Yeah, you've done this.
Yeah. Yeah. No, my kids are less than 2 years apart. It's rough. And my wife wants a third, and I'm like, I don't know if I can mentally handle that. So
my youngest, who's almost 2, he kind of he doesn't pronounce it properly, but he's learning to do the sign of the cross, and so he kind of
Mm.
mumbles it in cute baby voice. But when he gets to
Yeah.
doing the cross part, he switches
Mm.
hands because he gets confused.
So he does like
Yeah, he'll like touch his
that's
other
cute.
arm with that one and then switch it to the other side.
That's fun. Yeah. All right. We're only through 3 chapters out of 7. So might as well
So
keep going
pretty
for a little bit.
typical.
Yeah, you know. We're only an hour
Oh,
and a
this
half
is how
in.
y'all got on bacon. Because I jumped into this stream. Y'all were just talking about bacon. I'm like, okay, I guess that's what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, we're talking about organs
He
and like
thought we
what
were
was
just
healthy to eat
he
and what
thought we were
wasn't.
just mocking Jews.
Yeah, he was all excited.
I was here for us mocking Irish people, but I missed the Jew part. So.
Anyway, so we have.
Why do you have the fat highlighted?
We're doing typology of Jesus. So
Jesus
we
wasn't
have the-
fat.
He's body shaming. It's all
The
everything.
fat is the best part of the meat. It's the thing that brings flavor. It's the choice. You can even translate this as literally the choice of the meat. So Christ is the choice one. He is the most valuable, the most important, the most filling. All of this stuff. Like he is what brings you pleasure and all that stuff. And he is reserved for God, which is pretty interesting. So he even goes on and he says,
Okay, that actually does make sense.
yeah, like all the fat is Yahweh's, all fat is Yahweh's. So he is saying, hey, the best of the sacrifices, the best of what could be given to me is from me. So you might be able to say like, oh, Christ, like God provided his own sacrifice, like
Okay,
God
okay.
provided the best for humanity and all that, which is pretty neat. But again, we get for the flock as well, for the peace offering, you have the male and female language without blemish. So we have lambs being brought before Yahweh. Christ is our lamb to be saying. But the peace offering is supposed to bring peace between God and man whenever we screw up and do something stupid. It's not atonement, but it is re-establishing relationship both for us and to the priest. So this is a relationship building, it's a fellowship building experience for everyone involved. And the sacrifice can't be laughed out overnight. And the deeper the sacrifice goes into the Holy of Holies, the further out it needs to be destroyed outside of the camp, which is pretty neat. We'll get to that for the guilt offering. But you have that, then it repeats it several times for the other sacrifices as well, and where you splash the blood and all of that. So very similar language to the other sacrifices. although this is the first sacrifice that you're actually eating as a people. So it's not just the priests that are eating it, the people are eating it too. Which is neat. And the priest shall offer them up on smoke on the altar as food, an offering by fire as a soothing aroma. All fat is Yahweh's. It is a perpetual statute throughout your generations in all your places of habitation. You shall not eat any fat or any blood. Now, does this mean you can't eat any like fat on your steak, like any grizzle or anything like that? No. It's just specifically the fat on the hindquarters. So even kosher butchers, if I remember correctly, kosher butchers won't sell that section of the meat because the fat is harder to get out of it. So they'll sell the rest of the animal for meat.
Yeah,
So
so
this
there's
is
in kosher slaughter, basically there's the fats that you're not allowed to eat, which is one thing, but then there's also the vein, or the nerve rather, that runs through part of the hindquarter that's incredibly difficult to remove. And so there's this process that's basically called tunneling, where like a shochet will be a specialist in like removing that vein, nerve, and you can remove it, and the hindquarters of the cow can then be used, or whatever animal it is. But basically, with Ashkenazi culture, they basically gave up on using the hindquarters of the animal.
Yeah.
In Israel, it's more common because there's a lot more skilled like shoftim.
butchers.
And
Yeah.
so you can get like sirloin and stuff in Israel, but generally speaking, you can't get kosher sirloin outside, with the exception of a few like niche butchers that'll do it.
Neat. Oh, Stephen, do you eat that section of the animal? Or how do you procure your
we
meat?
don't eat fat or blood.
Cinta.
Just kind of generally, just
Okay.
because of but I mean, even if we buy meat from the store, I'll still like kosher it with koshering salt. Because we used to have a kosher butcher here. I think there might still be one in one of the grocery stores, but we used to have like an actual it was a butcher, and then they had a restaurant attached, which was super cool. Uh, and what they would do is they would hire chefs from restaurants in the city and have them come in and just cook fancy stuff with kosher materials. So that was very fun when it was around, and it's not. I don't think it's around anymore. And then, so we just skip fat and blood altogether as obviously best as we can. Like if it's a steak, I'll salt it all first and let it sit, and then wash it off, and then we'll cook it. And then with the fat, we just cut the fat off and goes to the dog. So our dog's always happy when we get stuff like that.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the best fat's
You call
butter. And since
You call
you're
that
not rabbinic,
koshering. In Texas, they call that dry brining.
which is a very good way to make your meat tasty. Yeah, but like since you're not a rabbinic Jew, you eat dairy and meat at the same time, so you can actually like have butter in your food and make
Yeah.
food actually taste good. Yeah, so you still get fat, just not the animal fat for that, or at least not the meat fat for that.
Right.
Anyway, yeah.
Can I ask,
Hussar
Steven,
asked,
do you keep kosher laws as believing in them as efficacious as part of your salvation, or simply out of
No.
obedience?
Obedience. Nothing. We don't say anything but Jesus saves us, and there's nothing we could do to earn it or contribute to salvation. We do it as a gratitude thing. Kind of like we view it as Israel in Egypt didn't do anything to earn God rescuing them, taking them out, and then once they walked through the sea and were baptized in that sense, then God took them to the Torah and to Sinai and gave it to them. And so we do it for the same reason. But we do view it as obligatory. We view that, well, obligatory in the way that to not keep Torah is whatever you can of it would be sinful. We view it as breaking of any of the commandments is sin, and so we want to not sin. So we and that's where Chris and I eventually have a long discussion on that, about the validity of my position on the ought. That's where we differ. Chris doesn't have a problem with it, but he doesn't view me as a slippery Judaizer like lots of other people do.
I do have a problem with Judaizers, so to be fair, but I don't think you're
Yes,
actually.
and so do
Judaizer.
I. Yeah,
Yeah.
so do I. It's bad to be a Judaizer in the New Testament sense.
Mhm.
But we view it as an ought. So like we keep Shabbat, we keep all the holy days, we keep kosher, and I wear tzitziot, all that stuff. And I do it not only because I think it's good, but I do it because I think it as a follower of Jesus, it ought to be done. But not for salvation. Definitely not for salvation.
And that was the first conversation I actually had with Steven. Is
Mm.
I made a video on Judaizers and like, hey, don't be a Judaizer. And then you reached me up and like, hey, let's talk about this. We had like a 6-hour conversation just in your basement at like 3 a.m. just
Yeah.
Nice.
chatting about it. And we took
Way
an
to do
hour
it.
detour just to like dunk on Islam, which was fun. And then by the end of it, you're like, man, we're having so much fun. I kind of forgot that we disagreed about this
Yeah.
to begin with. Yeah. So
Because that was my introduction to you, was the Rebecca is 3 video. And
yeah,
that's what got me
But-
going through your videos. I was like, wow, this is good stuff. And that's when I came across your because it's not titled "Don't Be a Judaizer," so it's a little bit ambiguous. And
right.
that's why I was like,
It's, do
hey,
Christians need to
hey,
follow
come
the
on
law?
now.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. So that was fun. That's how we became friends. We had a 3.5 hour, 4-hour debate. Then like an hour and a half of making fun of Muhammad, and then like 30 minutes of just joking about things, and we became friends. Imagine that. So
This reminds me of that. I forget exactly what he said, so don't take this as verbatim. But when Nick Fuentes had like a crash out where he was yelling about like we don't worship Yahweh, Jesus Christ is the God of this country, or something like that. Like we worship Jesus Christ. That's the God of this country. You can keep your
Yeah.
Yahweh stuff.
Yeah.
you can
It's
keep
like-
Yahweh.
You're a
Yeah,
very
in the name
poorly
of
catechized Catholic.
Oh,
Yeah.
man's never read Matthew.
Did
Or
somebody
any of the
swat
Gospels.
the gadfly? Where's the? We just
I
have
don't
his
know.
impressive bookshelf lingering in the background in that.
I'm
that,
assuming there was
horror
some
movie Subway lighting.
month-old
Oh, yeah.
emergency that had to take place. His wife was like, "Get in here, like get over here," and then he just got impaled and flung off. Yeah.
Do you think he went to take care of his 1-month-old and met Vlad the Impaler on the way?
His wife, yes. And then he may or may not come back. We'll see. But anyway, Jack Ray posted earlier that peanut butter plus butter plus honey plus a little heat and stirring equals Satan's temptation. And someone responded,
That's
"I'm not
good.
going to let my wife see that." Which I thought was hilarious. Shalom, brother. Yeah, and Christian Gadfly was beamed up by aliens to a Lyrian center in Minnesota.
That leering center
with
thing
Billy
will never
Carson.
get old.
No,
Oh,
it's
yeah, it's so
permanently
good.
funny.
Yeah. Is halal meat sacrificed to pagan god? Yes, it is.
Mm.
Sacrificed to Allah. And Allah is a pagan god. But it's not from Eloah.
So halal is by default not kosher. That's cool.
Yeah,
Correct.
and it's what
Oh,
a
they
lot
also
of people
have
think
non-kosher stuff
kosher
in
is.
it, like camel.
Right.
So a lot of my friends will be like, "Oh, so if we make dinner, what kind of prayers do I have to recite over the food so that it can become kosher?" And so a lot of people have the idea of kosher food is the same as halal food, funnily enough. But
Well, you
kosher is
still have to
just.
do the baruch over your food if you're rabbinic, if I remember correctly. Like that's
Oh, right. I'm talking biblically
Yeah.
though. Just biblically
Right,
kosher
yeah.
is
You don't do that.
basically what type of animal it is. That's
Right.
about as far as it goes. And besides, again, like blood, no eating blood, or certain, so even kosher animals, if they've been torn or things like that,
Mhm.
they're not kosher. But it's not there's no blessings to be said that you can't bless something and make it kosher.
Every full moon, Christian Gadfly turns into Lily Jane.
That's terrifying.
Anyway, chapter 4. So then Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the sons of Israel, saying, if a person sins unintentionally in any of the things which Yahweh has commanded not to be done, and he does one of them." So this is in response to unintentional sins. We get the same thing with the guilt offering. And part of that might be because there is no sacrifice for intentional sins, which we do see in Psalm 51, where David says, if there was a sacrifice, I would bring it. But
I
there's
think
not a sacrifice for his sin there.
right. I think some intentional sins like theft or things like
Murder,
that.
adultery,
But
yeah.
murder, adultry, and particularly
Things
in
with the
that
death
case,
sentence.
right,
Yeah.
capital crimes. Yeah,
Mhm.
breaking Sabbath. What's the other one? I think even
Like
Hametz.
beating your father and all that.
yeah, slapping your parent or
Hametz.
and yeah, chametz or not fasting on Yom Kippur.
Mhm. Yeah. So when you have those, I've also I think the rabbinics also have it the severity of the crime that you're doing indicates whether or not it was intentional or unintentional. So you could lying is listed in part of it as well, but can you unintentionally lie? Well, you can be wrong about things, but it's is it premeditated that you're going to lie, or did you get caught up in a situation where you needed to lie? Was it intentional in the premeditated sense, or was it unintentional in the premeditated sense, but you encountered some situation, some stimuli, and you sinned in response to it? But you still you have to intentionally sin for certain you can't accidentally commit adultery. You can't accidentally lie. Those are things that you do with knowledge, but is it premeditated or not? So I would fall more towards the if it's premeditated or not line. Interestingly though, what bulls and goats and turtle doves and lambs, what these things were not able to accomplish, the atonement for intentional sins, for premeditated sins, Christ is on the cross.
Right.
So what the Torah was powerless to accomplish, which is our eternal salvation that fully removes all blemish from us, Christ is able to do, which is pretty base. It's pretty cool. So Christ is the greater fulfillment of these sacrifices. And we talk about all these sacrifices, you could lay this out in a single sentence of how he is related to all 5 sacrifices. But all 5 sacrifices are represented either in the Lord's Supper or on the cross, explicitly. And it's used in the New Testament, also in Hebrews, all over Hebrews, you get the language of the sacrifices. Even now, Isaiah 52 and 53, you get guilt offering, literal the same word for a guilt offering being what the Messiah is doing. So you have this sacrificial language all over the Bible of what the Messiah, what God is doing for his people.
The book of
And you
Hebrews
see
is what
Christ.
Tuvia Singer refers to as the most anti-Semitic book ever written.
Are you serious? Or is that a joke?
Something along those lines. I'm not even kidding. He's like, this is just. The book of Hebrews is just. It's not. We don't know if it's Paul or some anonymous other anti-Semite, but it's
it's literally a book written to Jews.
Yeah.
Anyway.
About all their worship system and how their messiahs. It's very that guy. I can't wait till he's one day, God willing, and Ash, maybe you'll be the guy to do it. But to make him irrelevant, he is so dishonest and he's just a con man.
Oh,
and
my wife noticed that as of when I started making videos, and started getting a lot of people saying like, "Oh, I can't believe I've been listening to Tuvia for years. I can't believe I've been listening to Tuvia. Thank you for pointing that out." His views on his videos have dropped by 80%.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and not only that, he's been doing more drastic, like crazy videos, like doubling down on insane things, trying to keep his audience, like saying more and more psychotic things.
And he's
Yeah.
got that
and
whole
I kind of noticed
clan
that
of
too.
Noahides along with him too that are just as
yeah,
deceived. A very
yeah. For
Yeah.
strange
anyone out
group
there
he's built.
considering, becoming a Noahide, just know that one of the big Noahide rabbis has like a whole video about how much of a mitzvah this Noahide did, donating his kidney to the rabbi's son.
Oh my goodness.
So if we're gonna talk about literally a cult, yeah,
Spare parts, dude. That's wild. Mm.
So that's
Mm-mm.
that's that warning for this stream though. It's I always like to bring it up because especially because Ash is out there in the battlefield currently against this guy, and it's good that guy because it's one thing to be wrong, but I
Mm.
kind of like Chris what you were saying about lying earlier.
Right.
He is not in this to tell the truth. He is in
No,
this with a
not
personal
even.
vendetta against Christianity, and he will say anything as long as it's against that, and just completely dishonest. And so I love that that's becoming more and more talked about because he's been around for a very long time, and for a while it was one of those, oh, he's a nice guy, and we don't want to be, he's a Jew, he's the chosen people, we don't want to be fighting with these people, and maybe one day he'll see the light, and but he really took advantage, and very 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 not good. So I like to say that every chance I get. It's very anti-Semitic
Yeah,
of me.
yeah, no. Yeah. Tavir will commence internet stalking Ash. TV goes full Malik.
yeah.
Yeah. I think he already has, but
I found out recently that somebody who got involved with Tuvia Singer just like went missing one day. But I don't think it was because of his involvement with Tuvia Singer. I think it was another rabbi that he had donated money to, and then caught the guy like basically laundering the money or funneling it, and then the guy goes missing. He
Oh boy.
happened to be one of Tuvia Singer's benefactors, but I doubt Tuvia got rid of him because he was his cash cow, so to speak. So
yeah, no, that's a bit wild. I would not recommend people to.
but Tuvia is literally a dhimmi, right?
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
I
he's in
think
Indonesia,
he
isn't he?
didn't he move to
Yeah.
Jerusalem now? I thought he had
Yeah,
moved to.
but his organization, I believe he still has his organization in Southeast Asia, and
Oh,
so
interesting. Okay.
he has to abide by certain rules under Islamic rule there, which explains a lot. If I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, he has to go under the guise of being a Christian organization, not a Jewish organization, but I could be wrong about that one. But yeah, I
Wow.
think he has to pretend to be a Christian ministry to operate in Indonesia.
I always thought that was weird when I first started like studying him. He would mention that he was in, I think, Jakarta, right? And I thought, how many Jews are there that you would need to be like? That's a weird place you'd think to be a rabbi in. I couldn't imagine there's a substantial
Jew?
Jewish community or even one Jew in Jakarta.
Yeah, it's not like Thailand where there's like a huge presence of Jews from Israel going to like hike and vacation there. It's very much different than that. I don't know what the motivation to be there is, honestly.
Yeah, so I was like, it's weird. And
Money,
then he
maybe?
would.
No idea.
I didn't catch that. I didn't hear what it was.
I just said money, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm guessing there's some community of like Indonesian Noahides there or something that he crafted that are like paying him money. I'm guessing.
Right.
I would assume that because there's really nothing else that makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. Weird dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to something actually nice. if the anointed priest sins so as to bring guilt on the people, then let him bring near to Yahweh a bull from the herd without blemish as a sin offering for the sin he has committed. So this is the sin offering now. But we have specifically Machonin Meshiach, which is, or Meshacha, pretty interesting. So, I mean, the word Messiah just means the anointed one. And you only get like a capital M Messiah a few times in the scriptures. With like Daniel 9, for example, has 2 such instances of the anointed one being the literal Messiah. But here we have an anointed priest, so it just happens to also be the word for Messiah, or at least the same root for Messiah.
Yeah,
And
Mashiach.
it's an anointed priest who is having guilt, and we get this in Hebrew, so it's the inverse in Hebrews, where where the high priests are fallible and they have to bring sacrifices for their own sins. Christ is a better high priest because he doesn't need to bring sacrifices for his own sin. And we
Mhm.
get that the bull itself is representative of Jesus as a sacrifice. So we have a bull from the herd without blemish. So the priest is bringing a sacrifice that is representative of Christ, with Christ being, the powerful, and we talked about this at the beginning. But Christ is the sin offering. He is the sin offering, and we have an anointed priest bringing it for the people, also for himself. So the sin offering is an interesting one. It can be both atonement for the specific person, and it can be atonement for the community. And the guilt offering is just atonement for specific sins that you're guilty of. So you could say like the sin offering is Christ taking away the sins of the world, and the guilt offering is taking away the sins of me personally. And then the guilt offering also has an interesting component where if you sin in that way, there's times where you have to pay back extra on top of. You have to make restitution for your sins, and Christ is the one who's actually able to do it, which is pretty cool. But you get that he shall lay his hand on the head of the bull and slaughter the bull before Yahweh. So you confess your sins onto the animal, and then you kill it. Then the anointed priest shall take some of the blood of the bull and bring it back to the tent of meeting where God's presence is. And the priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle some of the blood 7 times before Yahweh in front of the veil of the sanctuary. Now there's the imagery of the priest having a rope tied around its waist. So whenever it does like the Yom Kippur sacrifice, they go into the Holy of Holies and sprinkle the blood. If they touch it and they die, they pull them out so that they don't rot inside of the Holy of Holies. But just the idea of like even going before the veil, just being in the holies, in front of the Holy of Holies, behind the veil, just the weight of that as a priest would be pretty insane. But you have to sprinkle it in front of the veil, and the veil is still a separation. So this blood sacrifice for sin, it's still making atonement, but it's not a full atonement. You have the blood on the horns, and you have the blood before the veil. We don't have the blood in the Holy of Holies. You don't have the blood being fully with God. And Christ actually is able to fulfill that. He's able to remove the veil, remove our separations. And I think it's interesting that the altars themselves have horns on them. For those who've seen illustrations of the altars, the descriptions in Exodus is to have 4 horns on the corners of the 3 of the altars. There's one altar for the showbread that doesn't have horns. So the horns themselves are interesting. And I was reading one of the midrash on it, and they're talking about how God will redeem his people through a horn. And it's talking about the shofar, because they believe that on Judgment Day, God's going to blow the horn, and then all of the judgment will come, and he will replace his attribute of justice with his attribute of mercy, and all the Jews will be saved, and all that, which is interesting belief. And Muslims just so happen to take all of that. Anyway, the priest here brings blood on the horns of the altar, and we have the blood being on the horn, and Christ is symbolized as these animals, these male animals that all have horns. And even with the typology of Isaac, where the ram is caught in a thicket by his horns, so he has a crown of thorns there wrapped around his horns. But the horns being covered in blood and atonement, and use the blood of one animal to then be covered by the horns of another animal. So you have again, vicarious sacrifice and atonement language, where the blood of one replaces the sin of the other, and it's it's just neat. You get that over and over and over again. It's all just showing what the cross is meant to do for us in the new covenant. And then he pours the rest of the blood out at the base of the altar. Well, what is the altar of the sacrifice of Jesus? It's the cross. And where was most of his blood poured out? It was on the cross after he was pierced. Both his water from him being tortured, because whenever you're tortured, water builds up in your lungs and other parts of your body. And then the blood also poured out. So you had water and blood pour out of him. I meant to mention this earlier with the washing of the innards, but that's within the basin, within the tabernacle system. They have this big bronze basin of water that they would wash things in. And then you have the showbread right behind that. So you have Jesus
Isn't that
being
called the sea a lot of times.
Uh-huh.
I was always confused
The,
about
the bronze sea.
yeah, I was
or the lavar.
okay. And what would what's the Hebrew term for that? Is it
Let me see. I forget what that is.
Is it Yom?
Sorry, you guys talking about the Kior?
Yeah, or
Yeah,
like
yeah,
there's
yeah.
a big bronze thing that holds water that's translated sea.
Yeah.
I was wondering if it's Yom.
And is that? I
No,
think
it's
though
not
that comes
Yom.
with
It's the Kior.
with Solomon's though, right? Because he made the giant one.
Hold on. It's in this one. Kior.
Oh, okay. So it's not etymologically related to the actual sea.
Mm-mm.
Because that's usually like chaos, you know.
Mm. Yeah, I think didn't Solomon put it on the back of a bunch of bulls? Didn't he in Solomon's temple?
Mm. On giant bronze bowls.
Yeah.
So they elevate it. There's a whole statue below it then. Well, this one is meant to be portable. The one for the temple is not portable. And
Right.
all the fixtures of the temple were not portable, where the ones for the tabernacle was portable.
Mhm.
Because
Does
it can
Does
go
that
out.
kind of
and
make you
can eat.
guys more okay with icons?
No.
I'm just saying. The bronze serpent, which is literally a type of Christ according to the mouth of Christ itself, whenever it started getting worshipped by the people, God ordered it to be destroyed.
Yeah, but we don't worship our icons.
I mean,
Mm.
well, that's maybe a definition, but
I threw us off topic. We were talking about go back up to the first sea. We're on another
Quick, somebody
sea.
make a loud noise
We're
and
gonna
get
start-
Christian's baby
we're gonna
crying
start
again.
boxing.
I hate you, Stephen. You Judaizer. I hope you drown in your beard. Sorry, edit that out later, Chris. I don't want people to know.
Oh, Judaizer.
I'm gonna get my
Gonna be
air
all over
horn.
YouTube.
My
Christian
bagpipes.
Gadfly manifesting.
Christian Gadfly, man.
You just Sam Shamooned me in a very PG
He-
way.
He hears a shofar blast and he just loses it. Yeah. Anyway,
I'm gonna
Yeah, no-
tell this idea on here. I'm not actually gonna do it though because I don't want to get dive into the drama with my own life. But I was thinking about what if I did a YouTube video where I was pretending to be Sam Shamoon getting ready for a live stream, pumping himself up. And I was imagining him looking in the mirror, you son of a whore, you whore, you Shia whore. You got it. Kind of pumping himself up before he gets on. I'm not gonna do it though. I got
Yeah,
enough
I don't
drama
think
in
it's
my
probably
life.
not a good idea. But
No, I don't want to kick the bear.
it made me laugh a good deal, and I probably would laugh at it several times, whether that's responsible or not.
drowning your beard is such a good insult. Zoom in
waiting.
clips.
Just waiting for the Dawa guys to clip it and be like, see, the
Yeah.
Christians are fighting each other on their streams. He told him to drown in his beard, and then he's a Jew.
Christians
him a
hate
Jew.
Jews.
I'm actually part
Oh.
Ashkenazi Jew. But
Are
just
you?
yeah, just a tiny little bit, like a 2% or something. I'm a 2%.
He lost it when he was circumcised.
There's a
Yeah.
joke about that in the IDF because they give you a medical profile when you're drafted into the IDF, and it's the highest score you can get is 97. So there's a joke about how like everyone loses 3 points for circumcision.
I'm so glad that's been done before. Dudes are always dudes. Like I was looking at this archaeological site, and there was just this massive. This was like it was labeled Roman graffiti. It was just this huge dong, and it was
I've seen that.
maybe this symbolized fertility, or I was like, no, these
it
are
was
like
just graffiti.
college age,
Yeah.
high school age guys out there bored on their tour, and one of them just wanted to draw a giant dong. I can tell you exactly what was going through that Roman's head.
They're
My
like-
favorite part of it
it's like a
is
bunch of
there's the
young
exact
Romans.
same.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's the exact same that happened in Egypt too, like ancient Egypt. There's hieroglyphs of the same thing, but that's not just drawn. They have to like chisel that.
Right.
So, but there's
Put
like
some
very
time in.
juvenile looking like testicles and like the big round, like like 3-year-olds draw, or like not 3-year-olds, like 8-year-olds drawing like their homework assignments, like that's in hieroglyphs, and it's really funny to me.
The hell
So,
were you doing
yeah.
while you were 8?
Dudes have always been dudes.
I was playing
Dude, I have
Pokemon. Chris over there drawing dongs.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, some young like Roman guys were like disappointed at their like outing to the Colosseum. They're like, "Yeah, that Ignatius guy didn't put up much of a fight," and then they go and draw a dong.
Just get upset. Yeah, no. People always been weird. Anyway, my editor is Chris. You gotta stop dropping fun facts like this. Anyway, so Jesus. Yeah. Get away from that real quick. But we have Jesus being our high priest, atoning for us, doing all this really cool stuff. And we have all the blood of the bull he shall pour out at the base of the altar, just as Christ was poured out, and then he's also raised up. So just as the peace offering was raised up, just as the grain offering was raised up, so too the sin offering is raised up. So we have pretty interesting
Where's
language being
the
applied of the
Hebrew
sacrifices.
verb for raise up?
Rahim, or Rahim.
What's the shirash
What
of
Hari?
that? Is it yara or something?
No. That. Or wait, maybe it is. No.
What are we asking?
What's the like the original root, like the lemma of yarim? It looks like it had a. Is it a third guttural, and that's why it has that yod there? Or?
I think it's
opened
'cause
up
of
way
the
too much
hay.
stuff.
To lift up, you're saying?
Yeah,
Mhm.
is it so? Is it so? The third person singular masculine would it be?
Oh.
Oh, okay. It's a vav in the
Yeah,
middle.
it's because it's one of those that only technically has like it's a 3-letter shorish, but it's kind of like a 2-letter shorish.
Yeah, and it'll conjugate weird because of the vav. That's
Mm.
what's
Yeah.
happening.
Mm.
Room.
Anyway, I usually have that turned off because it's way too much information on the screen at one time. Logos is really cool software, guys. You should get it. You can
What
use
is it?
AP's code for. It's really nice, actually. I quite enjoy it.
But go back to raise
But-
up. Oh, we went that. There it is.
I do recommend Logos. Actually, it's pretty cool. I don't even get paid to say that. So there you go.
Not
Logos
yet.
is actually good. Not yet. If I get a logo sponsor, that'd be pretty cool. I've been using Logos since my first video. So anyway, but you're to raise up Christ, you're to raise up the sin offering, and then you do all the stuff with the fat and the liver and the kidneys and all that stuff. And it even has this interesting phrase of is
I'm
raised up
gonna hop
from
out
the
and pop
ox.
back in like 2 minutes when I'm inside.
It's interesting language here that it's relating one sacrifice to the other sacrifice. So the sacrificial language from chapter to chapter is still like, hey, all of these things are related. You're going to do a lot of these things at the same time, and Christ is a picture of all of them. So you're building up one upon the other upon the other. You could do the sin offering and the guilt offering and the burnt offering and the fellowship offering and the grain offering all at the same time. And it even commands you to do it. It says, to do one of each at a certain point for some of the things you're doing. So the idea of all of the sacrifices being done all at once for one individual is essentially what Christ does for us on the cross, which is pretty cool. But the
Well, and
bull
Chris,
itself,
would you associate that lifting up for the sacrifices with like in John 20:17, where he says, "Do not cling to me, for I've not yet ascended to my Father." Like with the presenting of Jesus in his
mm,
resurrection. Uh,
for the ascension instead
mhm,
of the lifting up of the. No, I think I would still lift it or talk about it with the bronze serpent type language, that
mhm.
it must be lifted up for the sacrifice to be complete. And
Okay.
this would just be another point because this is all sacrificial language. This isn't resurrection language. The resurrection
Mhm,
language comes later on. So a part of the sacrificial language is the lifting up of and to be on wood. We see this all over the Torah. We see I've mentioned this multiple times, but you go watch the Binding of Isaac typology. It's pretty
mhm,
based,
mhm,
specifically based, not just cool. So you have the placing on the wood of the sacrifice for vicarious atonement, taking on our sins onto that animal. So I would say most of the lifting up stuff is going to be the cross. Um,
okay.
Sometimes it's definitely resurrection, like Jonah, for example. Like you lifted me up out of the depths of the earth, like that's resurrection language. But the majority of the time, it's probably going to be the cross. At least from the things I can recall right at this moment in time. I
Mhm.
can't recall anything else that it wouldn't be. So, maybe the ascending on high, or like being with the Father.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. Or like, after
Yeah,
he's been put to death and he's resurrected, and then he's goes to be presented to the
right.
Father.
No, I wasn't referring to John 20. I was thinking like somewhere in like Isaiah that it talks about the anointed one is going to be lifted up, or exalted. Like he's going to be highly exalted. And that's referring to the exaltation, or like even part of the Joseph typology, where after the grave, he's then lifted up, put on the royal robes, and then is part of
Mhm,
Pharaoh's court. Now he's like part of like the godhood. Um,
mhm.
so you do have that kind of language, but I still don't think I would apply that here
Okay.
personally. But anyway, so the bull. So the bull is the sacrifice, and the bull is the atonement. But the bull also has to be brought out to a clean place outside the camp, where the ashes are poured out, and he shall burn it on wood with fire. So now it is the sacrifices on wood again, outside the camp at a clean place, and then he's going to be completely consumed with fire. So if the high priest sins, or if the priest sins in this way, he has to take his sacrifice outside of the tent, the camp, and then sacrifice it there on wood. Just as Christ was taken outside the courts to Golgotha and sacrificed there, kind of like with Isaac. Isaac carried his wood up the mountain that he would be sacrificed on, and it was outside the area on Mount Moriah. Hello. So you do have, and for a little bit later on, the deeper an animal's blood goes into the holies. So if the blood is just at the door to the tabernacle or the tent of meeting, that animal is completely consumed and burnt up inside of the camp itself. There's the bronze altar there that the animal is
Mhm,
consumed on. If it is brought into the holies and sprinkled in front of the veil, it is then have to be brought outside of the camp. And then if it's brought fully in, then it has to go really far out. So the closer the blood goes in for atonement, the farther the body of that animal needs to go out in order to make that atonement, which is kind of interesting. And it points to Christ. Christ, his blood was shed not only at the temple, so right at the you could tell like the door to the tent of meeting is where his blood starts, and then all the way outside the camp is where his blood ends, because he was scourged, and then his blood, there's a trail all the way up to where the cross was. So the entirety of the from outside the camp to inside the camp, the entirety of that line is where the blood is going, and you also have his body outside of the camp in that moment. So you have again the bull, and you get this again with the goat and the sheep, but their bodies have to be outside the camp to be sacrificed, to be burnt up. And we have Christ sacrificed outside the camp, which is pretty neat.
When I came back in and you were talking about sheep and goats for a second, I forgot we were talking about the Levitical sacrifices and not Islam.
This Friday, I'm gonna put out a meme edit of last week's stream with all the camels and goats and sheep and all that fun stuff.
Are you talking about the 60
gonna be-
million stream?
Oh yeah. I got 40 minutes of content out of that 3.5-hour stream of just entirely out of pocket statements. So we're gonna make like a 30-minute video of just like,
Ash, what did you say about sheep? I didn't hear it, and I just pretended to laugh to be polite, but I didn't hear what you said.
I said when I went out and came back in and I heard you guys talking about sheep and goats, for a second I forgot we were talking about the Levitical priesthood and thought we were talking about Islam again.
Oh. No camels. So.
yeah.
Was that the
No
stream that I
camels,
came
no.
into last week?
yeah, that was that stream.
God, what a dumpster fire.
So good. The thumbnail for the video is gonna so good too. It's, Thomas the train engine meme with a goat head instead of it, and then a camel with Chase face behind it, like kissing it, and then a dude with night vision goggles, just shocked and appalled, and then the gay rodeo in the back of the train. It's gonna be a good time. I'm very excited for that video to come out and be done.
The words could just be Animal House, like on the thumbnail, and then you can have your title underneath.
Yeah, right now it's straight out of pocket, and every word is the color of the train cars.
That's good. Do that.
It's pretty good. I'm pretty excited for that video. Anyway, so no more booty pageants tonight. But and if the whole congregation of Israel commits error, so now this is corporal sins, and the matter is hidden from the sight of the assembly, and they commit any of the things which Yahweh has commanded not to be done, and they become guilty. So this is similar language to like Yom Kippur for like the sin sacrifice of the scapegoat and all that, like the blood being on for the whole assembly being placed by the elders onto the goat. So it's taking away the sins of everyone. When the sin which they have committed becomes known, and then the assembly shall bring near a bull from the herd for a sin offering, and before it bring it before the tent of meeting. And then the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands on the head of the bull before Yahweh, and the bull shall be slaughtered before Yahweh. And then the anointed priest, again the Messiah priest, shall bring some of the blood of the bull to the tent of meeting.
Click on the word anointed.
It's Mashiach here.
Yeah. Okay. Mashiach. All right, so you're saying, and we have. I interrupted you.
Oh, so we have the elders again. Lane, this is very similar to the Yom Kippur. They are confessing their sins onto this bull as a community. So if the community sins, the way that God removes the sin of everyone is through confession of your sins onto the animal to be slain. And then it's the people who are responsible for the death of the animal. So we are responsible for the death of Jesus, and we confess our sins onto Jesus, and he takes it in onto him on the cross. And that is what atones for us. It's what purifies us. It's what makes us look like we are without blemish before the Father on Judgment Day. Which is pretty based. Pretty cool. Using that word again. Then the anointed priest, so it's again the anointed priest who is doing this, shall bring some of the blood of the bull to the tent of meeting, and the priest shall dip his finger in the blood and sprinkle it 7 times before Yahweh in front of the veil. And he shall put some of the blood on the horns of the altar, which is before Yahweh in the tent of meeting, and all the blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar of burnt offering, which is at the doorway of the tent of meeting. He shall then raise up in all its fat from it and offer it in smoke on the altar. So again, we have this raising up of the bull as we had before. So we have this raising up by the Messiah priest containing the sins of all the community. He means like the sins of the world. And then it is going to be wholly consumed on this altar, which had all of its blood poured out on, and the veil as well. Like it's so cool. He shall also do it with the bull, just as he did with the bull of the sin offering. Thus he shall do it with it. The priest shall make atonement for them, and they will be forgiven. So Christ is the one that brings us forgiveness. Then he shall bring out the bull to a place outside the camp and burn it as he burned the first bull. It is a sin offering for the assembly. So Christ was killed outside the camp. And when a leader sins and unintentionally does any one of all the things which Yahweh his God has commanded not to be done, and he has become guilty, or if his sin which he has committed is made known to him, he shall bring for his offering a goat, a male without blemish. Then he shall lay his hand on the head of the male goat and slaughter in the place where they slaughter the burnt offering before Yahweh. It is a sin offering. And then the priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of blood offering. So again, we have the blood of the horned animal being placed onto the horns of this altar to remove the sin from the man, which is kind of interesting.
Before you
And then
continue,
it's-
I'm gonna go get a drink of water because I haven't been eating or drinking and I thirst. So I will be back momentarily.
You should definitely do that. Yeah.
Mm.
So then the priest makes atonement for him in regard to his sin, and he will be forgiven. This is again for unintentional sins. Christ is greater than this. He brings intentional sins and salvation
Steven
to us.
Spencer.
He's you for.
I'm sorry I keep doing this, but I want to see what the Hebrew word for atonement is. I'm a etymology nerd. I want to. Oh, okay.
Kefer?
Like Yom
Kippur?
Kippur. Vechiv.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
keep her.
like
Okay.
a kapara.
That makes sense. Makes sense. The Day of Atonement would be
You
atonement.
know that there's like this. It's kind of akin to voodoo. Not really. It's like what's the word I'm looking for? There's like a modern term for this. But basically, in Judaism, especially with like more influence from like Kabbalah and like more Sephardic Judaism, you'll have people like they'll drop a plate in their kitchen and it will smash, and they're like, oh, it's a kapara, like it's in place of something else worse that would have happened.
Oh, interesting.
And,
Mhm.
yeah,
Like superstition.
There's a yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
very
that's kind of like if there's a natural human instinct where you feel like you almost feel like you need to sacrifice something to keep something worse from happening. You know. And I was thinking about how this manifests in silly ways with like kids, where you want to avoid stepping on a crack or it breaks your mother's back. You know.
Yeah. Just nonsense. Yeah.
But I was driving with my dad in a club car through the pasture, and you know there's like cows around, and I was like, if this was the olden days, we'd be here cutting our wrists trying to make it rain. Like, aren't you glad we don't do that anymore? You know. But like you can almost kind of see where like pagans and ancient people would be like, maybe if I make myself feel pain now, it will get rid of pain in the
Redeem it.
future. Yeah. So it'll
Yeah.
make the rain come and we don't starve.
Right. Yeah. One of my favorite little bits of history is we have some decent archaeological evidence for Joshua's long day that like literally happened. So we have reports all over the world of either a long day, a long night, or a long sunset or a long sunrise. And if you map the where those stories come from, it kind of fits the cycle of the sun and sunlight on the planet. So Joshua's long day might have literally been a 24-hour miracle, where God stopped the planet from spinning and also prevented like all of us to die instantly whenever that happened, and then like spun the planet more. But in the reports of the long night, we get Aztecs or Mayans, and they just did a bunch of human sacrifice to try to get the light to come back, because of course, why not?
Can you imagine
So-
being one of them and you see the sun not come up? Yeah, oh,
Just like it's like it's been a long time since the sunrise. This is
No, they
weird.
weren't
Bring 'em
gonna
out.
What
choose-
should we do?
they weren't confused at all because the real Israelites had already gone on ships over to the world, and they already told them what was happening.
Nephi and all them. There was my weird
How are
take
we
on
ever
Joshua.
monetized?
Oh, sorry. What's that say?
My editor said, "How are we ever monetized?"
My weird take on the Joshua thing is the Tunguska event was this meteor that hit like in the 1900s, and it shot so many. It was like had a bunch of ice in it. Shot so many ice particles up into the air that it made it look like it was daytime for a whole 24-hour period because the sun, even when it was on the other side of the planet, was reflecting off of the ice crystals. So it could be something like that, and then we're hearing it from an ancient author. So.
Yeah, that wouldn't explain the long night narratives, but
You don't explain
Yeah, I
the
mean-
long night narratives.
anyway,
What's shocking
imagine-
to me is that like there's your channel and like all the stuff that you do on your stream and you don't get demonetized or struck. And then I do nothing wrong on mine and they take down my whole channel for like a month and a half until I can fight it and get it back.
I don't break any guidelines. I just talk about things people don't like. I
don't
mean,
use-
you're just like,
I think
The
you
editors are
know,
too bored to
guidelines.
click on a stream about Leviticus. Like, no, I'm not reviewing. I don't care what this says. They could be
well, it's all
saying,
AI
Just
anyway.
let him have it. Just let him have it.
yeah, I don't want to review this.
No, I just like consider it the favor of God that I can not get struck all the time. There are some streams I have legitimately demonetized
You
on
implying
purpose.
that I don't
so
have the favor of God?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe we need to,
I
settle all the
remember
heresies.
something about being persecuted when you follow me.
It's true. That's true. That's fair. I've sometimes demonetized streams. I did not demonetize last stream where we went over the camel and the goat stuff, and they didn't demonetize it either. So YouTube just doesn't care about me, I guess.
You haven't pissed off Tuvia Singer yet. That's fine.
That might
don't
actually.
I don't have all the Jew enemies. They like me yet so far, but I don't know.
Watch you get like attacked by free camel love people. Like there's a group out there that are like into camel love, and that's who ends up taking us down.
Camels are people too. They deserve love.
Love is love.
They spit in consent.
Somebody in the chat said you pissed off Borat.
If camels don't want humps, why do they have them all over their back?
Anyway. No. Anyway, yeah, no, I have no idea how I've been demonetized. I have been like slightly shadow banned whenever I posted. I've done it twice now. Whenever I post content on adult content, like especially if I say the word corn, if you say like 2 or 3 times, the content itself gets like shadow banned, where just YouTube does not push it out whatsoever. I got like 900 impressions on one of the videos I made. We normally get like 30,000, 40,000 impressions. So I got like 900 impressions because I said like the adult content like 6 times. We bleeped it out too, which is the crazy part. But YouTube's AI is smart enough to infer bleeps. So they don't like you talking about that, but they still didn't strike me. They still didn't I've only gotten 1 strike so far, and that's just because I said a certain ethnic group was turned into certain animals because Islam literally teaches that. So I was quoting the Quran, and I got a strike because of it.
Have you made
Because
a
I
video
thought I was
about
being
that?
anti-Semitic. Have I made a video on that? No.
Like, have you made a video about how you got struck for like hate speech because you were quoting the Quran?
Yeah, and I thought about making it. And then the production schedule was really weird, and that was also right around the time I streamed with David for the first time. So I was just like trying to ram out Talmudic Dilemma videos.
It's funny
Probably
because I'm
should.
wondering what's going to happen eventually when YouTube AI gets a hold of one of my live streams where the guy was like, "Yeah, what about the argument from the Kuzari?" And I'm like, "Oh, the Kuzari that says in its first chapter that black people are only similar to humans in speech and shape."
Yeah, but
At
not
Kuzari,
actually.
is that your source of your information?
Yeah.
And, I don't know about that. It's like, yeah, don't bring the
Yeah.
Kuzari here as your proof or anything, bro. But I
Yeah,
wonder
I have
what's
no
going to
idea.
happen because I said that on the stream.
I think they allow you to be racist. They just don't allow you to be anti-Semitic, or they don't allow you to be. I don't know why. Like they straight up told me I was being anti-Semitic. That's why your stream got struck down. And I was like, just watch it. I'm like, I'm the least anti-Semitic person talking about Islam that I know of.
Somebody's like,
And
Ash is
it's
working
like-
on demonetizing the stream.
I was thinking that. I was like, this is going to be the one to get demonetized. Bad luck Brian over there. How come everything I'm on gets demonetized? And then he's just gonna
It just
spread
gets demonetized.
Yeah.
Don't say ram out when talking about Islamic sources, Chris. Oh man, why does that religion exist? Anyway. Yeah, no, hopefully just continues and I don't have the same unfortunate circumstances that you have with that. But we'll see. I've
feel like
definitely said way
I
more
feel
out
like
of
we'll
pocket
be
stuff than
okay.
you have.
We'll be okay. If we got through, what would you do to a camel for $60 million? We can take on anything. I feel invincible.
And all its fat he shall offer up in smoke on the altar, as in the case of the fat of the sacrifice of peace offerings. Thus the priest shall make atonement for him in regard to his sin. And he will be forgiven. Just like we all need to be for that stream. So then he brings a goat, and it's male and female without blemish. We went over that earlier. And it's a similar thing. So we have the lambs being a female and the goats being female because this is a commoner giving this sacrifice. So if it's any one of the common people's sins, so male animals were hugely expensive. Female animals were very common. You had one good male animal that could just impregnate all the females, and it would just keep going. So the females, like the males, they would either be castrated and used for labor, or they would be eaten young, and then they would just keep a couple good ones to keep the herd going. But you wouldn't intentionally sacrifice male animals willy-nilly, especially like good quality ones, like unblemished ones. You wouldn't just sacrifice. That's a very costly sacrifice. So he's allowing for the common people to have a cheaper, significantly cheaper sacrifice. Whereas a bull might be like 20 to 25 shekels of silver. A goat might be around 2 to 5 shekels of silver. If it's male, and then if it's female, it might be like 1 or 2 shekels of silver. So it is much, much cheaper. And God is allowing us. Then if you're really poor, you don't even have to give that. You can just reduce it down to a bird. And if you're really, really poor, you can do grain. So he is lowering over and over and over again the cost for atonement of the people, because he doesn't want us to be like, God cares enough about us that he doesn't want the cost to follow him to be so great that we're not able to do it. He meets us where we're at, in our faith, in our journey, in our experience and ability, in our knowledge, all of it. He meets us where we are, and he fills in the gaps. Where we are weak, he is strong. So the atonement does that. We're unable to sacrifice for ourselves. We're unable to actually be sinless to not need atonement. So Christ comes and brings the atonement for us, which is pretty amazing. Because God loves us so much, and I do not understand.
I need to say something
humans
about
are
the
kinda the
value
worst.
of the males real quick.
Yep.
If it's okay. So our neighbor had this prize bull, and it broke through my dad's fence. And I was like, Dad, don't we need to get that thing fixed and let the neighbor know? He's like, oh, I'll get to it. He spent 3 weeks. He let that thing mate with every single one of his heifers, and then finally got it back out. And so we had all these amazing calves.
Chris,
That's-
I missed out on a whole bunch of stuff. It's always funny. I go upstairs, I have my headphones in, and just getting the water, and I kiss my daughter on the head, and there's all this conversation going on in my ears, and like this whole vast. I mean, it was a whole week of. Makes me think it's probably for the best that we only get together like once a week, because if we just hung out, just be
just
insane.
never get anything done.
But
Yeah.
uh, I wanted to ask Ash, because we had talked about a couple streams ago about you had mentioned castration just in passing a little bit ago,
Mm.
and I had brought up that with us in uh we in Leviticus 22:24, uh I had brought up that my dog, we have a female dog, and we didn't get her the word they use now fixed, but we consider it broken, and because of that particular line in Leviticus, we took that to mean that you can't castrate or spay animals, and I was wondering what the Orthodox Jewish perspective is. Do they take it that sentence to mean the same thing? Is it is if you know, is there an Orthodox Jewish view, like a Torah prohibition on castration of animals?
Actually, I have no idea.
Okay.
Well, depending how drunk the mohel is, there might be a castration. For those who don't know, that's a guy who circumcises.
Did you see my the description under my name there?
Yeah, that's why I brought that up.
Oh yeah, it does.
Well, you've been warned. You get a
You
drunk
changed
one,
it.
there might be a castration.
Your first one was like cooking up some great baba ganoush. Yeah, it was good.
There you go.
Oh, what
Camera
is
for a
yours?
second.
Professor de Casa Ridiculous.
Profesor de cosas ridiculas. I had to do.
You're the
I
professor of
joined
the
a
crazy house.
Spanish Bible study right before coming here, and I thought we were going to go over Romans, and then the guy leading it was like, "Why don't you just tell everybody about Islam?" And like, I can mostly speak Spanish, but I had to like come up with a presentation just off the top of my head in Spanish, and I was
different
I was
languages.
like sweating. I think I did it okay. Though.
Yeah, I had so I have interacted with a bunch of Coptic Arabic speakers because I'm working on a project to translate the Quran, and they're like, yeah, we're teaching a bunch of like Christian missionaries to go out into Arab countries to like preach to them. Like, do you want to give a presentation in Arabic on Islam? I'm like, I don't speak Arabic. I could talk to them, and we'll see how that goes. They're like, oh yeah, that's great. They were shocked and amazed that I knew about jihad in general, but just like about Islam, because we were like just talking about it, and I was even using Arabic terms, because I know a lot of the like theological terms within Islam in Arabic. So I was speaking to them, and there was at one point I brought up a term, and she was like, "What are you saying?" And then I repeated it again, and then the guy was like, "Is that?" And she's like, "Oh, you were speaking Arabic. Oh, okay." So that was a fun little neat experience. But they were amazed that any American at all knew that Islam was a violent religion, because every experience
Wow.
they had so far, because I live in an extremely liberal area, every experience they had so far was just Americans thinking Islam was peaceful and wonderful and all these great things. They're like, we didn't know Americans knew about Islam. They thought we were all brainwashed. So anyway, I don't know why my brain went there. But there you go. Now, if a person sins after he hears a public oath to testify when he has a witness, whether he has seen or otherwise known, if he does not tell it, then he will bear his guilt. I love this passage so much and how it relates to Jesus. Or a person who touches any unclean thing, whether a carcass of an unclean beast, or a carcass of an unclean cattle, or a carcass of an unclean swarming things, though it is hidden from him, yet he is unclean, will be guilty. Or if he touches human uncleanness, or whatever sort his uncleanness may be, with which he becomes unclean, and it is hidden from him, then he comes to know of it, he will be guilty. Or if a person swears thoughtlessly with his lips to do evil or to do good, and whatever matter of a man may speak thoughtlessly with a sworn oath, and it is hidden from him, then he comes to know it, he will be guilty in one of these. So it shall be when he becomes guilty in one of these that he shall confess that in which he has sinned. Then he shall also bring the guilt offering for the
If you
sin that
think
he
about
committed.
that for a second, like how strict the rules of ritual purity in the Old Testament are, and
Insane,
how
yeah.
much further like the Pharisees in the time of Jesus were like obsessed with it, and
Hmm.
how modern Judaism is just like, yeah, whatever, like, okay, I guess we're impure.
Super casual, flip it. Yeah.
It's like you can't be like that. Like the temple's gone, you have no way to purify, like you're doomed in the mind of a first century Pharisee. Like you're done for unless you can find a way to purify yourself. And Judaism evolved into this thing where it's like, okay, I guess we're impure, but like, it's okay, we're all impure and it's the state of galut and like everything's fine until we, have the temple, we have to do this way. And it's like the first century Pharisees would be like, what is wrong with you? Like, what is going through your brain right now where you think you're okay in this state of ritual impurity?
Yeah.
And there is no way out of it. Not
But there
for
is really
not
isn't.
Isn't
for
there
rabbinic
some
Jews, not for Karaite Jews, not for Torah only Jews. There's no way
Ash?
out of it.
Do they have like this principle now? I feel like I've read it in a couple of the Siddurim I have, where the the recitation of these verses is counted uh as if you were offering them. Is that a thing?
Yeah, so in lieu of bringing the sacrifices, you read the korbanot. With every prayer service that you go to at the synagogue, like the first thing you do is you read the korbanot. Like you read the offering. So if it's the weekday shacharit, you're doing the morning ones. If it's a Sabbath or a festival, you're reading the korbanot for that festival, and then you'll have it repeated sometimes for certain festivals. You'll have it in the Amidah, like in the final like big prayer. You'll have them repeated in that prayer, like the ones for the day. You'll read like the Torah passage that has to do with it. Like it's all done through recitation and like learning about it and repeating it. And some rabbis say if you learn about the korbanot, it's like you fulfilled them. It's like what
Right,
first century Pharisee would agree with that? That's insane.
right, right.
Ash, were you born into a Jewish home and converted to Christianity, or has your family always been Christian?
No, so I was born into an Orthodox Jewish family, raised Orthodox. I was an Orthodox Jew for the first 27, almost 28 years of my life with some ups and downs at the end there. And then slowly became a Christian. But yeah, most of my life was an Orthodox Jew.
But yeah, to back to your point, it is insane that anyone could think that you could sacrifice or you could fulfill the Torah and not have a temple. That's just insane. I don't understand the mind of anyone that could be like, oh yeah, no, we just, we're just casual about it now. We just, we think real deeply about it once a year, and that's good enough.
And sins and atonement aside, just God's presence being with his people is such a huge theme in the Bible. That's like
Right.
the Edenic ideal,
the
and then
Ark of
they're
the Covenant.
exiled, and they're trying to recover from that, and so they have the tabernacle and the temple, and to just ignore God's presence with his people seems like, well, what's left of the Bible? Like the point of the story of the Bible.
Yeah, you don't have much at all, especially whenever you like ignore the parts about Jesus and like, oh no, we don't see it, But I wanted to point this out. This one hit me different the other day while I was reading this. So if a person sins after he hears a public oath and he's a testifying and he's a witness. So we get this idea of witnessing and if you are knowledgeable about something.
What is a public oath? Person sins after he hears a public oath.
I think it's terminology. It
Voice.
could be a couple things, but it's like if you say
Those
like,
voices.
courtroom?
if it's like if you say, I mean, we see oaths a lot of times. Like what was his name, Jephthah, who vowed to dedicate to God
Yiftach.
whatever if he first saw. Yeah, Yiftach came out of his house and it was his daughter,
Mhm.
and
Right.
so oaths like that where you say like if such and such happens, I vow to do such and such. I think that's generally what this would be, but obviously it could be all sorts of things,
So
this
Leviticus
person-
5:1.
Oh, go ahead, Ash.
Yeah, 5-1.
I'm just
yeah,
gonna look it up.
Yeah, it's 5-1.
This is a person who they sinned because they heard a public oath and they were supposed to testify as a witness about what they had seen. If they don't tell it, then they bear guilt. Am I interpreting that correct? Because there's a whole lot of independent clauses jammed into this sentence. So I'm trying to track. Now, if
That's how I've taken it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not that they sin after they were supposed to testify. It's they're supposed to testify, and that is the sin that they're committing, is what I'm thinking it's saying.
When they don't testify, if they know that they should be testifying and they choose not to.
You know what's
if he
so
does not tell
annoying
it-
is when you get in a wreck and you can't get any witnesses because all the people drive away. It's so
Yeah.
frustrating. Like anytime I see a wreck, I pull over and I stop. I say, "Hey, I saw it was that guy." And I like because I want the person who was innocent to not have to end up fighting with their insurance company. Because I've been there.
No, there's.
Gosh, it's
I did
so
that
useful to have
once.
It's if
good
somebody
witness.
is guilty under the fact that he's obligated to testify and is not testifying.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like that
That's not
rule.
fair.
We don't have that. You can just drive away if you're a witness to, at least a.
You know, in
car
Israel, that's
wreck.
actually in law when it comes to violent crime. It's lo tamud adam reacha. Like if you see somebody, like you're obligated to take action. So if you see somebody has been stabbed or something like that, depending on the level of your ability to deal with the situation, you're obligated to engage in some way. So if you are a trained security professional, you are supposed to engage the attacker. If you are a medic, you are supposed to provide medical treatment. If you are a bystander and all you can do is call the cops, you have to call the cops. If you don't, you're pretty much guilty of the crime almost. It's like a pretty serious thing there.
Based. There
Yeah.
you go, Chris. It's
Yeah.
been a while since you've said it.
It's true. Gonna take one for the team. Yeah. No, I had an interesting experience with that myself. I saw a dude on a bicycle get hit by a super high and drunk dude. And then like he hit him pretty hard. The dude, like the bike and the man went over the car. And then like his leg got just mauled by it. And the dude gets out like and he just like stumbles over to him laughing and then tries to like pick him up and move him off the road and get his bike out from under his car and just like throw it over him. And he's just laughing. He's like, "Oh, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine."
Whoa.
Walk it off.
So then I had
Legs
I
in
had
half.
chicken in my car, so I drove back to my house because it was only a couple minutes away, and I drove back. And by the time I drove back, a cop was there. I was like, "Yeah, I saw it." Then I had to leave and come back. He's like, "Thank you for coming back. Most people don't do that." It's like
Yeah.
that's so scummy.
No, a
and I was
truthful
like-
witness can make a situation so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Chris tells vomit-inducing joke. No, I didn't. I did not. I did no such thing, sir. Take that back. You insult my honor.
Now I know if I
I've
ever
never-
get stabbed, Chris is going to be like, "Hold on, I got
got
chicken. I got to drop off.
I got
I'll be
chicken."
right back."
You know, what would be a very
know.
rabbinic thing to do would be to always carry chicken in your car in case you ever needed an out. That would be like a very Pharisaic type of creative loophole for something like that. Just
Yeah.
always have some chicken ready to go bad in your car, and that way, if anything happens, you say, "Oh no, I can't let the chicken go bad. I got to get
I
home."
do that anyway, man. I've never had fried chicken and a bad day on the same day. Love fried chicken.
Anyway, so I thought this was cute about Jesus.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
All
You've tried 6
Yeah.
times now. We better
I
let
know.
you get to.
right, it's fine. So we get like when you think about like salvation and guilt before God. If you know that you're supposed to say something, you know you're supposed to do something, and you don't do it, then you're guilty of it. And whenever you touch an unclean thing, you become unclean. So whenever I know about God, I know the knowledge of Christ, I know that I should accept him, but I don't, I'm still in my guilt. Whenever I experience sin, whenever I participate in sin, I am now sinner. I'm now guilty. I'm now unclean before God. And the only way I can be cleaned is by removing the guilt from me. And then if I swear and like, hey, I'm going to follow God and do all these things, and I don't, it's as if I'm ripping his covenant out. I saw a preacher give an object lesson where he ripped a page out of the Bible, and all the congregation like gasped and was like, I just ripped out Matthew 5:44. and it was, the Sermon on the Mount that he ripped out. He's like, you are more offended that I'm ripping out this page of the Bible than you are the fact that you've ripped this covenant and this commandment out of your life. You do not actually hold to these things. You do not actually stay off lust. You're not actually staying off anger. You're not actually doing what Jesus commanded on the Sermon on the Mount. And you're more offended that I ripped up a page of the Bible than you are about desecrating the word of God with your actions in your life. And Christ, like sinners, people who have not accepted Jesus, we do this all the time. We're prideful about our sin, and we are in the state of uncleanness. We know that we should be cleansed of our sin, but we're not willing to because we're too prideful. We're not going to come to God. So I love whenever he is like into the turtle doves, and like, if you can't afford a lamb, give 2 turtle doves. If you can't afford 2 turtle doves, give the grain, as we mentioned before. But the atonement here is given is like, it's based on your knowledge, it's based on your experience, it's based on your status of cleanliness, and Christ is the only means we have to actually remove that. And it is set up in a way that no matter how much money you have, you can still be atoned for your guilt in this system. So whether you can offer a bull or whether you can offer grain, you can be atoned for, but you still have to participate in the sacrifice of atonement to be saved. And we need this offering of, then this also has the 10th of the ephah of flour on top of all that.
Let me
But
say
I thought
something
you were
quick
gonna
about.
say.
Oh, go ahead, Nash.
I thought you were gonna say the pastor ripped out the page and everyone gasped, and he's like, "Ha! It's actually a Quran inside of a Bible cover."
dude,
A Bible cover.
my brain has been so trained with Quran ripping up lately that whenever I heard the sound, I was like, "Oh, he's ripping a Quran," and he like it was like, "Oh no, this is Matthew." I'm like, "Oh wow, that's interesting."
What I
And he
want to
did
say
give like
was when you
uh,
touch the unclean thing, it makes you unclean. And I think this is why, if you read in, I think it's Matthew 9, I can't remember what it is in Mark, but the woman who is bleeding and she touches Jesus and it
mhm,
says she's shaking with fear after she's
mhm.
touched him. I think it's because
Right.
she thinks that she's made him unclean by touching him, but really you can't make him unclean. You just end up becoming clean yourself.
Mhm.
And she's healed
Which
too.
we're about to get to, which is the beautiful thing. I don't know when the last time you read Leviticus 5 was, but actually I might just go ahead and
Nobody
go down
reads
to it.
Leviticus, Chris.
Thank you, Ash, for being honest. I was thinking that in my head. I didn't want to say it because I don't want Chris to judge me.
Okay. Whoever touches them will be set apart as holy. So for the holy sacrifice of the guilt offering, if anyone touches the blood, they will actually become holy. Anyone who touches its flesh will be set apart as holy. When any one of its blood sprinkles on a garment in a holy place, you shall wash that was what sprinkled on. So the blood of this animal, of this high sacrifice, is holy. And whatever it touches, it purifies and it sanctifies and it makes it holy. So it can not only take on sin, but even its presence makes things holy and set apart. Just as like whenever you see the angel of the Lord come in Joshua and in Exodus, he says, "Hey, take off your sandals, where you're standing is holy ground." Where the presence of God makes things holy, which is amazing. And that woman was made holy. She was made clean because of this blood that can clean her, and he himself is not defiled by her blood. It is the blood that cleanses, it's the blood that makes things holy. It's not the other way around. It can take on our sins and still remain holy, which is amazing. So we get like the language of like, oh, well, Christ took on our sins, but he's not becoming a sinner because it's still holy. The blood of the lamb to be slain is holy. It makes everyone else holy and it remains holy in the process. So God is so cool in ways that people don't really fathom unless you like really deeply nerdily study the Old Testament. The more you study the Old Testament, the more appreciation you'll have for the New Testament, and the better you'll understand it. So
And then you become a slippery Judaizer like me.
Where did the slippery part come in? I want to know.
That was Christian Gadfly.
Well, I joined another prominent YouTube. It's a ask a question and answer type thing that I have a favorable generally opinion of the guy. And so I was up late one night and I had been meaning to get on and talk with him and basically have the same conversation with him that I had with Chris. And so I joined and I just kind of put forth my case. And I don't know that he quite understood it. I think I kind of caught him off guard. But in the comments, uh, people were saying, like, oh, yeah, here's one of those slippery Judaizers. And he clearly never read the New Testament. And all the usual things I've heard for the last 19 years of my life, that I denigrate God and don't accept Jesus. And I'm trying to trick everybody into rejecting Jesus and get salvation through keeping of commandments. So and I thought, goodness gracious. I mean, I made it
People
very
say
clear
some
from the beginning.
wild things in comments on YouTube, you know?
Mm,
Yeah, they do.
And they're
it
often
used to be my
contradictory.
family and my friends that used to say that, and now it's been clear coasting for a while. And then I get on YouTube, I'm like, wow, I haven't heard that in a good bit of time.
I remember there was somebody had a stream and they had like an Orthodox priest on, and the priest said something along the lines of, if you are honest, like if you have integrity and you have intelligence, you're going to become Orthodox, not Catholic, or something like that. Specifically talking about Catholics and Orthodox. And I asked in the stream, I was like, wait a second, are you saying that people that become Catholic are either stupid or not genuine? Like that's the only two options? And immediately a bunch of the Ortho Bro crowd, like they recognized my name also, they're like, oh, look, it's Ash. And then half of the people were calling me, because they know I'm friends with Sam Shamoon. And they're like, half of them were calling me a Sam Shamoon troll, but the other half were calling me a Trent Horn Jew Catholic. I'm like, how can I do both of those things?
It's like poor God Logic. All he did was be friends with people, and then everyone's having a civil war over it. It's like all he did was be nice to people.
But I was like, how can I be a Trent Horn Jew Catholic and also a Sam Shamoon troll
Right.
at the same time? Like those two things don't go together.
And that's the thing about those, is so much of the time it's not people that actually listen to what you say. It's just, I mean, uh, I just mentioned, I was literally just asking him a question. I said, I believe this, and what do you say to that? And all of a sudden, I'm this double agent trying to sneak people. I'm in a cult trying to sneak people away from Jesus, and I rely on my own works to save myself. And I explicitly said the opposite of that stuff at the beginning because I knew that was coming. But it's everybody's so quick to just be terrified by things and not address the actual statement and just lump you into a weird category that they don't like.
Well, nuance is hard, and people don't want to do it.
I see somebody in the chat says orthoholic or cathodontist, and it reminded me, I came up with a joke. So you know how like Catholics will not rebaptize people who have been baptized even if they come into the Catholic Church from outside, but and Orthodox really don't either anymore to a large extent. But there was some Orthodox priests that were rebaptizing people, calling it corrective baptisms. And so I came up with a joke. If an orthodontist corrects your teeth, an orthodontist corrects your baptism. Yeah. Yeah, put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah. Anyway. So, I think I just have like 2 more sections I'm going to go through. We can chat. If a person acts unfaithfully and sins unintentionally against the holy things of Yahweh, then he should bring his guilt offering to Yahweh, a ram without blemish from the flock, according to the valuation in silver by shekels. That's a very interesting statement. In terms of the shekel of the sanctuary for a guilt offering, and he shall make restitution for that which he has sinned against the holy thing, and he shall add to it a fifth part of it and give it to the priest. The priest shall then make atonement for him with the ram of the guilt offering, and it will be forgiven him. So we still have the sacrificial atonement language, of course, because it's the sacrifice. But if it is unfaithfully and unintentionally, but it's a ram without blemish, and it is evaluated in silver by shekels. So we have Joseph, 20 shekels of silver, it's the price of a slave. Then you get some inflation, you get Jesus as 30 shekels of silver. And then you have this ram that is going to be a restitution and an atonement for a person. And you have to pay shekels with it as well. And it's plural shekels, so it's 2 or more. And it's judged by the leader themselves. In another section of the Old Testament, you get that whenever David buys the plot for the temple, he buys the threshing floor and he buys 2 of the oxen. And it was 50 shekels of silver. So the ox themselves are like 20-ish shekels of silver, which is the same price as Joseph, which is kind of interesting in and of itself whenever you go through like the David typology. But I love the repeated use of silver shekels in combination to types of Christ. I think that's cute. So I like that. And then it's the restitution as well. So not only are you being forgiven, but he's redeeming you from your past life, which is pretty awesome. But if a person sins and does any one of the things which Yahweh has commanded not to be done, but he was unaware, still he is guilty and shall bear his punishment. So it doesn't matter, oh, well, I've never heard about the name of Jesus. I never heard about the gospel or any of that. It's like, you're still going to be guilty on Judgment Day. Your conscience will bear witness against you, according to Romans 2 or 3. So you don't just get a free pass if you're unaware. Unawareness is not the same as being sinless. You are still in a state of sin. You still need salvation. You still need atonement, whether you are aware or not, just because you were given your conscience. But God gave you your conscience to know right from wrong. As long as you have knowledge of right and wrong, you are guilty of your wrongdoings, and you need a savior because you can't atone for it yourself. Which is the whole point of the sacrifices. Nothing the Jew does, even for works-based salvation, you didn't do a work, you just did a blood sacrifice for atonement. You're not earning salvation through the atonement system. You are making a sacrifice for your atonement. So it's still different than every other religious system that exists. Judaism, like biblical Judaism, is not a salvation by works in the same way like
I love
we
how
think of
Chris is
like
making the
Islam
case
or
for how Catholics are not work-based salvation. But that's okay. That's good.
I believe Catholics are saved. So anyway, it's not like Islam, it's not like Hinduism or Buddhism or any of these things that is literal, like you do a checklist of things and you get saved. It is, I know that what I'm doing is not good enough for salvation, which is the whole point of Psalm 51, with David saying, like, he's lamenting and saying that the sacrifice I give you is a broken and contrite heart, which you will not despise, O Lord. And here we have a similar thing with the sacrifices are meant to redeem you, to save you, not because of the work you're doing, but because you're confessing with your mouth, you're believing with your heart, and you're trusting God with the blood to redeem you. And then you do the exact same thing to Christ on the cross. So we see this prefiguring of Christ all over the place in the Old Testament, but the sacrifices themselves, the only form of atonement and salvation in the Old Testament, we have explicitly paralleled with Christ in so many different ways with all of the different offerings. And then you have like all the prophecy of all the other typology. It's so deep and it goes so hard and it's amazing. And yet people are just like, oh, no, there's no Jesus in the Old Testament. I don't see him. My eyes are closed and I have a hand in front of it and I have earplugs in and I'm also reading in a different language that I don't even know, but no, I don't see any Jesus there. It's like, just try earnestly to actually get past your rose-colored glasses and get to something
But
real.
Muhammad is in the Song of Songs.
Yeah. And whenever you're like, oh, and of course it's not. That means altogether lovely. It has nothing to do with Muhammad, which is an entirely different root, an entirely different language.
Yeah, the opposite of altogether lovely.
Yeah, literally the opposite.
Yeah.
Both in deed and in physicality, because he's described as an old fat dude with missing teeth.
Yeah.
Who's kind of skeevy. So, yeah.
I kind of picture the guy in Aladdin when Jafar makes himself look like another prisoner at the beginning.
That's probably not that far off if you've read the Hadith. Now there are a bunch of Hadith that call him like the greatest, most handsome dude of all time, like the Joseph Smith painting. If you've seen that with like like the Joseph Smith propaganda.
An older video I did where it was like, what did he look like? And basically the idea is it's like all the sources are saying he's fat and he got teeth knocked out at Uhud, at the Battle of Uhud. But then everyone's like, he's as beautiful as the rising moon, and his smile is like the sun. And he's killing any poet that makes fun of him. So it's like the same kind of. It'd be like if someone came up to you from North Korea and was like, "Oh my God, Kim Jong Un is so hot. God, that guy's just so sexy. His teeth are like sheep on a hill, and his eyes are like the pond.
I dream about it every night.
It's like, okay, you're trying not to get your head cut off, is what's happening.
Right.
I mean, that's what it seems like to me. But imagine you're having to tell this fat guy with missing teeth how hot he is because you don't want to get your head cut off.
Yeah, he's also old. I mean, he's 50, like in his late 50s to early 60s for most of his military career.
He's probably got crusty sperm all over his robe from his child ride.
Yeah. He was described as always being covered in sperm.
He smells like a guy who's never worn deodorant. Out in the desert.
He also
menstrual.
He would do wudu. So he would do wudu from a well that had menstrual cloths, dead dogs, and garbage, according to the Hadith. So he literally bathed in water.
You're for sure
arms. I'm literally not. It's a Sahih Hadith in Bukhari and in Muslim.
And not only
actually, I did a short on it.
They pointed out to him that, like, oh, Prophet, dude, what are you doing? And he says, nothing makes water unclean, and then goes right back to cleaning himself in that. There's a lot of like
nothing
patterns.
makes water unclean. That's a wild thing to say, even for the 7th century.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I had
There's a lot of things out there, Muhammad. You're saying none of them will make it unclean?
Well, definitely not.
I had a long list
rags
of them.
or dead animals.
Right. Yeah, no, there's like 20 Sahih Hadiths on him bathing in water that had either garbage or dead dogs or menstrual cloths or the combination of all three in it. So one of my favorite comments on the short I made on it was, man, that dude must have smelled. Because just like all three of those things don't smell very good, but imagine a combination of them stewing in water that's stagnant.
When I was a teenager, I did a mission trip in El Salvador drilling water wells. And they had, so you want to get like, the equipment was called an LS100 back then. I don't know what they use now. And you want to get down at least like 90 feet or so you can get to clean water because you got to get past the gravel and sand and everything. But they had like hand dug wells that were only like, 20 feet or 30 feet. And there was one, it had like dead rats in it and stuff. And my dad was like, you need to take a bath. You haven't showered the whole time we've been here. And I'm like, Dad, I think there's dead rats in that water. And he finally was like, no, you didn't get it clean. So I pulled that bucket up. Man, it smelled so bad. And I was like, smell this. And after I had put some on my arm already, and so I made him smell it. And he's like, you know what? You're okay.
Yeah. Me and my brothers used to shoot BB guns in a creek.
Fallen as bad as Lucifer.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. Man, you guys fell as bad as Lucifer with how holy the talk was going versus the topic now with this frowny face.
It is important to point out the shortcomings of other claimants to the prophetic line. I think it's.
Well, Steven, tell us that BB gun story.
Oh,
You had a BB gun
me,
story.
when me and my brothers used to go shoot BB guns in this creek by our house, and it was off of the side of a pretty busy road. And one day we got down there, and we were when we were approaching it, it was just like, man, this area smells terrible. And so we're like, well, we still want to shoot BB guns, whatever, it'll probably blow through or and so we go down there, and it was worse in the creek. And I mean, this is a very long stretch of creek and everything, and so we're like, what in the world? How could it smell so bad? And then we looked over, and off to the side, a poor dog must have got hit by a car and rolled down into the creek, and it was a dead dog. And it was just one dead dog. And I mean, we tried to walk as far away from it as we could to get away from, and you couldn't.
How
And
many
so
dirty menstrual cloths were down there?
well, that's what I'm getting at. So like
Oh no.
just the one dead dog. Well, I mean, there was one time though when we used to play in another creek behind our house, and I guess all the work crew that was working back there on whatever, they decided that they all needed to. I mean, it was a weird thing. That's what our parents told us happened, and we hoped that was the case. But there was human excrement all over, and that was a weird. I'm having weird times in creeks now. I'm starting to think. Yeah, stay out of the creeks, ladies and gentlemen.
I worked at a summer camp when I was a teenager also. And one of the chores I had to do was the garbage. And you would kind of stomp on the garbage in this dumpster to smash it all down.
Mm.
So I threw a cardboard, like a smashed cardboard box down. And this was by a girl cabin. I jumped on it and it slipped and I went deep into that dumpster. And so there was definitely the smell of menstrual things. But I'll tell you what, it was nothing compared to the dead animals in the well. as bad as the menstrual stuff is, it's nothing compared to a dead animal.
No, the worst smell I've ever smelled, and the only time I've ever vomited from a smell. I've done a lot of really disgusting things in my life. Things I can't repeat on camera because my wife would be super upset with me. And that's saying something because
Text me later.
you've seen what I've talked about in the past, so just use your imagination for that. But I've smelled a lot of the dead things, skunks, up close and personal, like fresh spray. I've smelled it. I've dealt it. I was a carpenter for a while. and we also had a sewage line that broke, and I was up to my knees in sewage cleaning out this like basement. So I have been there, and that was like 3 weeks of sewage that was built up too. So that was fun. That was a great experience. I didn't have a nose plug at the time, so that was you could like taste it in the air if you breathe through your mouth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The worst one I ever smelled was a dumpster that was a compost dumpster that had rain in it and also had a bunch of leaves. And that was it.
Really?
It was a dumpster
Really?
full of water and leaves that had a lid on it in the Tennessee sun for multiple weeks.
That is a pretty bad smell. It gets like that weird, like rotten egg scent, but
Except it was concentrated and it was completely fermented, and half of it had degraded to the point where just like the bacterium just ate it all. So it was like
right.
it was
I bet it was
worse than death.
flammable.
I've smelled I'm sure it was. I've smelled death a lot of times. That was significantly worse than death, and I actually vomited next to it because I opened it up because it's my job to like dump it out. I like opened it up and I got the fumes went into my body, and then I vomited, and that was by far the worst thing I've ever smelled. Just extreme fermented leaves.
So
I have no idea how.
one of my first experiences after coming to the United States was a laundromat in Houston, Texas. That was pretty bad. Not gonna lie.
Just smelling other people's laundry.
You don't have to get very close to it to smell it. And then, but nothing beats. There was this one time this Haredi guy got on the bus in Israel, and it was really bad. It was.
Oh, really? Is that a thing?
This living human would put your dead animals and all kinds of other rotting things to shame. I assume he was alive. I mean, he was walking around.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
There was
Um,
a girl in law school who had all natural deodorant, and it didn't do anything. And it was rough.
oh, like the salt crystals.
I don't know what it was. She needed to take it
Oh,
and
yeah.
throw it in the garbage and save her money because it didn't do a thing for her armpits.
Oh no, dude.
was useless.
There was this one dude on the wrestling team that would
I'm
use
starting to get
Himalayan
the guy
salt
that called
crystals.
us fallen like Lucifer, to be honest.
He had giant like literal like things of Himalayan salt crystals, and he would just like scrape his armpits with it.
Yeah,
I
let me
was
guess
like,
how well that worked.
I was like, man, do you not bleed from that? That's crazy. It's like, no, it works. It works. Like you're clogging your pores with salt, and like bacteria can't live on salt, so therefore it's fine. That dude smelled awful all the time.
You-
And he's on the wrestling team too, so you have to like
Oh.
you have
Grapple
to
him.
grapple this man.
That's how he wins. It's
just
his secret
right,
power.
that was his secret weapon.
smell. My superpower is stank. I'm the skunk man. I'm gonna wrestle you into submission.
You
Make
know what
you
you
wanna go to
can use
prison.
though as natural deodorant that I didn't believe and tested? It's just lime juice. Like you cut a lime, and I guess because of the pH balance of it or whatever is it sounded
Really
like
acidic.
it sounded too fake to be like worth doing, but I had an extra lime when I read that, and I was like, well, I might as well give it a try, and it actually works. Like works. Not just like,
Doesn't
oh
that
yeah, it's
burn?
I no, I unless you have maybe
Yeah, the
have some
cut.
already like irritation under there, but
Yeah.
so that was interesting.
Strange.
You know what I won't be
Okay.
doing is using limes
I'm
for
gonna go
deodorant.
You just got to put some salt in there now, is what I hear, and then you can really
Oh,
rough it up
gosh.
some.
Add a shot of tequila while you're doing it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
turning into a margarita.
Yeah, you know what? Forget the deodorant. Just make a drink and sit in
Yeah,
your
who needs
nice.
deodorant when you have margaritas? Right?
Yeah.
Just drink until the smell doesn't bother you anymore.
Exactly.
That reminds me of an old timey remedy. My grandma on my dad's side, she's half Mexican, half Lebanese, and she had all the old world remedies you could think of that were just generally not real and also probably harmful. And one day she visiting from Texas, and she
You
was
drink Windex.
well, no, that's a
Big
different
Mexican.
story. But this story, she had like come down with a cold, and so she's sitting on the couch and she's got a paper towel in her, and I just thought she was like having a runny nose. And then I smelled this smell, and I went, Grandma, did you spill alcohol or something? And she goes, oh no, it's just an old trick your Aunt Mary taught me. And she had a bottle of 92% isopropyl alcohol, and she goes, you put the alcohol on a cloth and you put it in your nose and you breathe the fumes and it
She's
kills
gonna
all
go
the
blind
germs.
or-
Yeah, I know. And I said, oh no, Grandma,
That's a
that
bad
can kill
idea.
you. And she goes, no, it's okay. I'm already starting to feel better.
It's your brain dying.
So when you said just have the drink and you drink until you forget how bad you smell, she was literally like huffing toxic fumes and not able to tell how sick she was.
You'll
So
go
I mean, I
your
guess
blind if
grandmother
you
was
drink
half Mexican, half
isopropyl
Lebanese?
alcohol. Oh, sorry. Go
Mm.
ahead, Ash.
I say half Mexican, half Lebanese grandmother. That's got to be one delicious and angry kitchen.
Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly what it was.
Uh, you know, while I was peeing, I thought about something else with Muhammad.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's hear it.
So I had this realization whenever I found the voodoo one with the dead dogs and like how bad he would have stank. There was a story of him walking through the marketplace one time, and he saw a really attractive lady who was not in a hijab because they didn't do that yet. He got super horny, so he ran home to where his wives were living to have intercourse with one of his wives rather than just go out and like commit adultery. Even though I don't even know how Muhammad would commit adultery because he basically could just have anyone he wanted. Anyway,
Oh,
he
is
got
this the
he got
Tanner?
Randy. Yeah, so he runs back, and the first wife he finds was, I think, Hafsa, and she's like tanning leather. And back in the day, like tanning leather now still is a really disgusting, dirty process that just smells horrible. Which is why if you get fresh leather, you have to like let it air out for several weeks, otherwise it'll just stink real bad. You can't
Mhm.
use like fresh leather
Mhm.
goods that smells horrible. And that's with modern,
Mhm.
sophisticated methods to do tanning. Back in the day, the way they would do tanning is they would dunk it in pee,
Mhm.
but it's also dead, decaying flesh. So it's literal like pee dead body. And you have to get like your elbows and stuff covered in it. So you smell horrible for the rest of the day, if not 2 days, 3 days, until you like take multiple baths. You smell awful. He ran up to that wife, even though she was in that state of disgust, and still had intercourse with her. And my thought was, how in the world could you keep like how could you stay hard when you're smelling that?
Because you
But
smell
if he
worse than she
always
does.
yeah, if he always smelled like that, then it wouldn't bother him.
Mhm.
That's like I had a light bulb moment. I was like, oh,
It's
that
a
makes
pretty
so
strong
much more
case.
sense now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I thought the dude was just so like lustful that he just ignored the fact that his wife is covered in dead animal and pee. But no, he was just always covered in dead animal and pee. Because that's what he did voodoo in. So anyway,
Chris,
it's long
Trying to
as
finish.
much as the people watching might complain, we did just go through a whole bunch of mentions of ritual purity and impurity, and so it is slightly on topic.
It's fair.
I was
It's
going to say, do
fair.
you want to finish your presentation before we go on another tangent about camel pee?
I think I might get off,
Uh,
guys. I'm exhausted. But y'all have a good one.
Yeah, I don't have that much more to go. It'll probably end soon. Unless
Very
you just
good
wanna chat
evening
for a
to you,
while.
Mr. Gadfly, and may your baby sleep some extra.
Wow. All right. And
And then there were two.
Ash and Christian get oh no, Ash came back. Hello.
What happened?
I don't know. Did you leave?
I didn't leave. I got booted.
Oh, that's weird. I mean, Christian Gadfly left because he said he was going to sleep.
Oh,
Or so he
Oh.
thinks.
Weird. Yeah. So he thinks the baby's gonna be up in an hour.
I think I'm actually gonna start heading out also. But I wanted to tell you before I go, because I thought you'll find this funny. So you know the whole Ezra thing.
Mhm.
We
You
have
see,
the
he
proof.
worships Ezra as the son of Allah. Anyways,
Do you have that because of that, or for another
no,
reason
he's
for
my
Ezra?
patron saint.
Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah.
actually,
Why did you choose Ezra
Perfect.
specifically?
Ezra is my patron saint. One, because it's my one of my names.
Right.
And then also I felt very connected to the mission of Ezra, as it were.
Mm. To like redeem the people back to Yahweh.
Yeah, like guys, what are you doing? You're doing it
Yeah.
wrong. Something like
There's
that.
a better
Big shoes
way.
to
Let's
fill.
do it.
Yeah, there's a better way. Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, big shoes to fill. So yeah, but he's my patron saint. So anyways,
Awesome.
you guys, it's been fun.
See you, brother.
Lila Tovash.
Well, Latov. We will probably end soon. I might give a recap real quick, I guess, but we did go through a lot of it. I'm gonna make a video on this topic.
It would be.
Eventually.
It's a good topic, Chris, and you do it well.
Yeah.
So it would be a nice thing, especially for a lot of the people again, like who think that Leviticus isn't. I mean, I actually think Numbers is more difficult to. I
Dude.
like Leviticus. I mean, we got
I
the
mean-
holy days, we have the dietary laws, we have
Yeah,
lots
but like
of nice
Numbers opens
commandments.
up with this. Like this is the beginning of Numbers. You have literal cross. You have the
Mhm.
literal cross from God's point
Yes.
of view with the tabernacle at the middle of it, covered in red dye that is also a type of Christ. Like this is a type of Christ with a type of Christ, a type of Christ, literally in the picture of a cross in the beginning of Numbers. So I think Numbers are pretty basic. Also, a lot of fun stories like Balaam.
I got
Oh,
an
doggy.
invader.
Doggy.
Wait, hold on. Easy does it. This is a very fragile set I've built here.
She's gonna destroy it all.
Do not knock over the Torah.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, so some other fun stuff before we end. Before I make my video on it, which is going to be way quicker and more in depth and just rapid fire. And also, I'll bring up parallels to the New Testament back whenever I make Bible content again for videos. Interestingly, we have like this free will votive offering as well. And if you have a free will offering, you must eat it on the same day. So the sacrifice cannot last out overnight. So Jesus was a free will sacrifice on the cross, and he did not stay on the cross all night, even though he should have, because that's how long crucifixion was. So we have this like picture of Christ there. And then if it does remain, though, it's pretty interesting. Whatever is left over from the flesh of the sacrifice on the third day shall be burned with fire. So you have this third day language as well. And if any flesh of the sacrifice of his peace offerings should be ever be eaten on the third day, he who brings it near will not be accepted, and it will not be counted to his benefit. It shall be an offensive thing, and the person who eats of it will bear his own iniquity. I think this points to the sacrificial system ending and no longer being valid myself.
Oh,
So if any
interesting. I was wondering when that was
Then
going
you-
to come up. So what
Yeah.
chapter and verse are we on right now, Chris?
7:18.
Okay.
So if you eat of the flesh of the sacrifice after the third day, after the resurrection, after the new life and the new covenant has been established, he who brings it near will not be accepted. Your sacrifice is not going to be accepted. Not only is it not accepted, it is an offensive thing to Yahweh. It's offensive. And the person who eats of it will bear his own iniquity. And this sacrifice took away their iniquity at first. But now, if you try to bring this other sacrifice again past this point, you will not be accepted, and you have to bear your own iniquity, which means hellfire. So you have that aspect to it. Now, again, we don't do new typology or new doctrines through typology, but I would also say that that's the doctrine of the New Testament. So then I would say this would just be a partial confirmation of that view if you take it from this view. But meaning like the third day, we have the sacrifice, eating of the flesh, a lot of Christological language, and the end of it is it's offensive. And we have specifically in Hebrews that Hebrews 10 that sacrifices for sin had ended. So this is a sacrifice for sin, for guilt. Christ takes that away from us, and then if you try to do sin sacrifices after Christ, it's offensive to Yahweh. That would be that's
Yeah.
why he destroyed the temple in 70 AD. That would be my holistic approach to his view of sin sacrifice, of guilt sacrifice after the new covenant has been instantiated, which is why he destroyed the temple himself.
Except then what do you
So-
do with the temple coming back and sacrifices being reinstated, and also the
Right.
the ever pesky Acts 21 I always bring up with Paul going for sacrifice and also paying for 4 other men to sacrifice.
For the new covenant sacrifices, either it is not literal and it's meant to be a metaphor, or they're symbolic remembrances of the past.
Oh,
But
so
I
you would
still
be
think
okay
it's-
with those?
I think it would be difficult because of death being required, and there's no death. So how can animals die if there's no death?
I guess it would.
How-
Couldn't one argue though that animals don't have the same type of life in them that humans do?
I mean, you could argue that, but I mean, there's also the debate on whether or not animals died before the fall.
Hmm.
Like before Adam sinned, were animals actually still dying? Because there are animals that only live to be a couple. Like there's also insects and other things that are only living to be a couple days old, couple weeks old, couple months old, and their life cycle is very, very, very fast. So depending on how long Adam was in that state of sinlessness, we don't know how long it been. Could have been days, could have been months, could have been decades, could have been like I think it's up to 90 years is whenever Seth is born. So like you have several decades that he could be in the garden, and these animals would just live through it. I don't know. I have no idea. I would lean towards sin causing animal death as well, which is also why I don't take a well. There's many, 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 many reasons why I don't take a macroevolutionist view.
Right.
It's
Same.
stupid unless
Mhm.
God is literally doing every point mutation in the process, like essentially doing creation stretched out, because there is no mechanism within life that causes that causes life as we know it today. You
Mhm.
cannot go from microevolution to macroevolution and expect it to work. It does not work. It doesn't exist. The only way it's possible is if God's directly involved in every single mutation that happened. But at
Mhm.
that point, why not just have special creation? It's the same. It's special creation plus extra steps and more
Right.
suffering. That's
Right.
all theistic evolution is.
And kind of
It's
really
possible, but
not
why needed?
adhering to the text, old and new,
Right.
really, you know.
No. Right. So I don't lean towards evolutionist positions. I was one for a long time. I'm not anymore for many, 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 many reasons. Um, but yes, I don't think animal death. I think animal death was the cause of the fall. That would be more so my position. So if animal death was not meant to happen in the garden, then why would animal death happen in the new world as well? Um,
Mhm.
so if we and Hebrews 10 is very, very, very explicit in this.
That's what I was gonna say.
I think
Which,
this is
because I think if you don't already kind of have that as a presupposition, and again, it does kind of make you battle with certain other biblical texts. Which verse was that one that you read that was, or verses that was like you kind of stated your thought on it? It was 10.
18. Now, where there
Okay.
is forgiveness of these things, there is no longer any offering for sin.
Hmm. So, but right before that, he's quoting Jeremiah 31, which we talked about a couple
The
times.
new covenant. So this is,
Right,
I'd say, in the new covenant, there's no longer an offering for sin.
right. And so
Yeah.
with that, though, I feel like this chapter, and I think in 9, this is kind of touched on, and maybe 13, if I'm remembering correctly. Uh, when it's
13
talking
talks
about
about
the
the guilt offering.
sacrifices.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think it's using uh an offering for sin, meaning that's doing away with the offering. It's that the the point of it was accomplished. You know what I mean? There's it's no longer doing, it's no longer representing the removal of your sin the way that it did in the first, or in the old covenant. Now it's memorializing what it was always pointing to. And so you wouldn't do it uh, as a procedure to receive the atonement. You would be doing it as a memorial to what was done for you, or what it pointed to, which would be Jesus. And that's why, and I
Right,
think
but then
that
at that
also
point,
works
it's no
nicely
longer a
with,
sin sacrifice.
well, it would be just like every year when the Jews celebrated Passover, they weren't actually being brought out of Egypt every year,
Right.
but they're still doing the Passover. They call it the Passover, and all the commandments are the same as when the first
I
one.
mean, sure, but you'd have to take out several of the sentences of Leviticus 4 to have that. Because over and over and over again in Leviticus 4, it says that this is an atonement and he'll be forgiven.
Hmm.
So if it's still that explicit sacrifice, then you still have the atonement in that system. So you'd have to augment Leviticus 4 to have this one be a sin sacrifice that's still happening, but just being memorial. You'd have to abrogate the sin atonement part of it
Well,
because
is
there's
that
only
any
one
different
atonement, which
though?
is Christ.
Because like, is that any different though than with what the first Passover symbolized versus what Jesus's Passover symbolized? It's is that I don't see the difficulty in that, because the first Passover actually did what it did, which is it was to
Right.
memorialize and not even memorialize, but the very first one literally saved them from the angel of death. and then obviously pointing to salvation from the blood of the Lamb with Jesus. And so
Mm.
you don't lose one. It's basically it's heightened in a way, which makes it almost more significant than it used to be because of what it points to rather than what it used to do.
We could also just say that they're fulfilled. That's how it's
Right.
heightened. There's no longer a need for it.
Yeah, but that I think fulfilled is a tricky word though, because a lot of people take that to mean things that I think are either explicitly opposite of what Jesus says they mean, or they there are certain things that Jesus didn't fulfill because it wasn't something Jesus fulfilled the purpose of the law, which is uh communion with God, salvation and everything. Something the law couldn't do. The keeping of commandments could not give you salvation. But the commandments are good, and they're a reflection of God's mind and heart. And so we would do well
Mhm.
to walk in them and keep them, just like Jesus did. But, like, for example, Jesus didn't fulfill the purification after menstruating because he didn't menstruate. So if you take Jesus fulfilling the law as meaning literally did every commandment, he didn't do that because he
Oh
couldn't
no,
have. He
he
also didn't like
fulfilled
offer
the
the
righteous requirements of it.
right, exactly. And so
Yeah.
so in that way, when because a lot of times Christians will say, "Oh, he fulfilled it, therefore I don't have to do it." And the righteous requirements, yes, that makes sense. But also you could use that same sentence to say Jesus fulfilled the law not to murder, therefore now I can murder. It doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? And he
Mm,
particularly in Matthew 5:17, he uses fulfill as the opposite of destroy. But a lot of times when people say, "Oh, he fulfilled it," they mean destroy. And
right.
so it gets kind of dodgy, I think, with what fulfilling the law actually means. I think it's not as cut and dry as we've been told, would be my argument.
Right.
Because he did
No,
fulfill all the sacrifices.
he did.
Uh, but
Yeah.
then to take that claim and then say, well, because he fulfilled them, therefore we don't we don't do them anymore. Uh, I don't think that's specifically what's being said. And again, I think the Hebrews one, that's a pretty good place to start for that argument, but it does have problems with New Testament instances of sacrifice, and also during the Messianic reign, sacrifice is brought back. And so is that a
Mhm.
new covenant? You know what I mean?
Right. Which again, I mean, you could just be like, oh, maybe there wasn't literally sacrifice in the temple,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but that would be more so my view as well. Because I don't
Okay.
see like again, I don't think like I personally don't believe animal death is going to be part of the new world.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see how sacrifice could happen, um, unless it's like theater. But at
Mm-hmm.
that point, is it really a sacrifice? So
If it was a memorial.
right.
But I mean, even what is it? Is it's like Ezekiel, the end late chapters of Ezekiel when it goes through, and it's pretty specific about these sacrifices and the number of the sacrifices. And so to me, it sounds more than just as a metaphorical or something like that. It seems to be pretty what's the word? Uh, literal when it's
Yeah.
speaking of them. And so that's why I would take the view that I take, because for me there's really no wrestling with, you have this thing in here in Hebrews, and a little bit spread out more in Hebrews, but also in Hebrews it mentions sacrifice in a positive light as well. Uh, and so for me, if the view I've got on it, there's a lot more harmonization to everything. Whereas your view, there's a lot of weird asterisks that get brought up that kind of require uh, noodling around a bit, I would say. Not like not noodling like in a bad way, but I mean like you have to be like, okay, well that I don't think that makes much sense there, and so how do we square this? And then all that and that doesn't make sense with that in its own way. How do we square that? So
Yeah.
that's
Which,
my brief presentation on that.
yeah, I do think the only thing that is debatable for sacrifice for the New Testament would be Paul
Mhm.
with Timothy. Um, but even then, you just be like, well, maybe Paul was wrong. Like the apostles are obviously not free of error,
Right.
and the pushback for that would be, well, it was never called an error. Like
Mhm.
Peter was called an error multiple times.
Mhm.
Well,
For
actually, one of
doing
the
kind
times where
of
Peter,
the same thing that one would say Paul was doing if they thought that
right,
sacrifice was not good.
right,
And also James recommended it.
it's true. One of the times Peter failed is not actually called out explicitly as a failure, which is interesting. That is the feast of the Gentiles. So he has the dream where the do not call anything unclean what I've called clean.
Mhm.
And I think that's actually a response to them failing to meet the Great Commission of Matthew 28:19, where
Mhm.
they're called to go out to preach to all the Gentiles. They didn't yet. So they were withholding and they were teaching Judaism or Judaizing. So they thought, like, yeah, all the Gentiles will become Jews and be saved through Yeshua. They're not
Right.
like, oh, well, they'll stay Jewish and be saved through Yeshua at the same time. So because of that, like tension, Jesus has an explicit dream sent down to him. It's like, oh, what you're saying? The apostles got a misinterpretation of what Jesus said and did the wrong things. Like, yeah, that happens literally the entire gospel. What are you talking about? That happens over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, um, up until Pentecost. And then we see it a few times after Pentecost. But before the resurrection, we see it like almost everything they did was in that category of Jesus being like, "You knuckleheads, what are you doing? You should know better
Right.
by now," and they didn't. So, I don't know.
So
I haven't
what
thought.
did you say what I might have missed it what your with Acts 10 vision what is that what was your end thing on that for bringing it up?
uh for the vision. Oh, just that Peter was in error and God corrects him with the vision, but he never
Uh-huh.
says that he was in error for what he was teaching before it.
Oh, you don't think so with the call no man unclean?
I mean, I guess it's not the same type of correction that like Paul gives in Galatians to Peter, where he's like,
Mhm.
"I confronted him to his face," and
Mhm.
like said, "You hypocrite!" Like that type of confrontation. But that would be more of a casual confronting to it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I haven't gotten. I haven't also to be honest, like even with you sending me your script, I still haven't read it. So um
I figured because
I
you
have
haven't said
not
anything, and I'm
had.
kind of waiting on you
Yeah, no.
to advise because
Uh,
I want to make something you can work with, and after I made it, I was like, I think this is more of like its own thing, and I don't know if this is going to be correct for what we were talking about. So that's why I haven't bugged you on it too, because
I
I
mean,
know
I
you're very busy.
yeah, I'll just match whatever style you come up with. From the bit I did read about it, I think it was fine. Um, so I would just say make sure that's your strongest argument,
Hmm.
and that it's like, is this the video you want to share with people from now until you die? Type
Right, and
thing.
that's the thing I'm worried about
Just
because I think if I were to make my strongest argument, it'd probably be at least an hour long, and I don't know if I've
that's
ever.
fine.
Yeah, but I don't know how to do something like that. I'm just a dweeb, Chris. I got this little tapestry and my phone is literally tied to a plastic stand with some string. And I'm not going to show everybody the rest of this area, but this is not not I'm not like a pro like you, and I don't have much confidence in myself to make a an hour long video. So I'll have to that probably have to work on that because I would like to, but I
Yeah,
don't want
man,
to be
go for it.
insufferable and boring and off topic.
No, I mean, you've been greatly convicted of it for a
Mm.
variety of reasons. Share that with the world,
Yeah,
which you
that's
have in
probably
part.
true.
Like if people haven't seen the Yom Kippur stream we did last year, well, you did. You went over your testimony in that stream.
Mm.
So if you want to see Stephen's testimony, how he started keeping Torah to begin with, you can go back and watch my Yom Kippur stream. I don't remember what the name of it was, but it is
Yom
that was
Kippur with
really
the
really
Torah observant.
yeah, or Yom Kippur with Torah observant Christian.
Mm.
Defending the line, you'll find it, or just go through my channel, search within the search box of my channel. I'll just put it in chat real quick. For those watching, you will be able to get the easy way of finding it.
You will get
Once
to
I
see
find
me
There
in
it is.
all of my amateur glory in that video. It's the first time I've ever
I'll
been
put
on
it.
a live stream or anything, and I had no clue how to do it, and it's fun just for that. But the content I think is pretty good. I haven't watched it since I watched like maybe 10 minutes of it a couple months ago because I forgot we did that. And I realized that was saying, every time I breathed. And I thought, boy, I really got to work on that. Think before you talk and make your sentences nice and clear.
As long as he's not Talmud observant is a funny statement.
No,
Also,
definitely no.
good morning. Is that Boker Tov? Anyway, yeah, we'll go through that much more detail. I think that is the end for the Leviticus passage. That was the last thing I want to point. I'll do the full video on it eventually, probably before this year ends. I think after I do all the Talmud Dilemma stuff, which will be around October when I'm done, I'll do just a typology series. So
Yeah, maybe
I
as a
have 2 or
nice
3
palate
typology videos
cleanser.
out. Yeah, from all the Islam content, I'll make a bunch of Christian content back to back.
Yeah.
So I have a couple. For those who are new to the channel, haven't seen my older content, go watch the Jesus is a Worm video. That is by far one of my favorite Bible studies that you can do. It is pretty based, and I did a pretty good job in that video presenting it. I've done better versions one-on-one with people, which I'm kind of sad about. That I wasn't as happy with that video, but it's still good enough that you're gonna like feel the weight of it. So that video is good. The Isaac video is good. I have not done a Joseph typology, and I don't know how I can do a Joseph typology in a video to the extent that I'll be happy with it. So, but I'll start doing eventually, like, there's 84 types of Christ in the Bible. So that's going to be a long series.
That we know
It'll
of.
be good. That I'm
Who knows?
aware of,
One day we'll have them fully revealed to us in paradise, and that'll be
I'm
a lot of fun.
excited. Yeah, I'm so like, okay, for those who aren't aware of like how based the Torah is, like better sheet. We'll just go to it real quick. Okay. This is the first sentence of the Bible. It's better sheet about Elohim at Hashemayim va'at ha'eretz. And there's so many sevens in this sentence. It's actually mind-boggling. God designed this sentence in his mind before, like, it's crazy. I think there's exactly 28 letters. There's exactly 7 words. And the values of the gematria of these words themselves also can create a bunch of sevens and a bunch of harmonies and a bunch of parallelizations. And the middle word is only 2 letters. And then it's followed by 5 letters and 5 letters. And then 3 letters and 3 letters. And then that one's different and this one's different. But like the middle 5 words are a mirror of each other. Then you have Bereshit and Harez. So you have the beginning and you have the earth, which is the end of the creation week. So you have this beautiful symmetry within the Hebrew, and then the values themselves have symmetry. And then within this sentence itself, you get like types of Christ with like Etz and Bereshit and Elohim, all being types of Christ that you can go through. with some of the like more Kabbalistic interpretation of Hebrew letters, which is ironic because the Kabbalists are not Christian, but you can actually use Kabbalistic methods to point to Christ inside of the Torah. Very funny. But I think God, like, I think the evidence we have for the ordaining of God, that he actually pre-planned things. If you look through the Hebrew of the Bible, it is mind-boggling. So whenever we get like a full-on, hey, this is every single like little neat detail I put in the Bible, I'm gonna nerd out so hard.
Yep.
I'm so
It's
excited
good that
for
we
it.
have eternity to listen to it all, because I'm sure it's going to
Yeah.
take a while.
Yeah, dude, it's amazing, man. Ah, it is
Base.
wild. Based. God is based. Anyway, I was planning on doing a short stream, and then that didn't happen.
It
So
wasn't
I
too
was gonna
bad
work on my book.
considering the cast of characters.
I have all of the content for my book mapped out. So I just need to fact check, make sure I have all of the quotations the way I want it, and then write my commentary on all the quotations, and then my book will be mostly done. I'll have to go through review, and I'll hire a professional typesetter. But
Very cool. Very, very cool.
yeah. Jack, I love whenever you join. We usually go down some fun rabbit hole. It's such a great time. Anyway, but the book will hopefully be done. I have cover art. I have a cover for the book as well. It's pretty based. It's pretty cool. I need to augment it some. I need to change out the Hebrew and the Arabic on it. But I have cover art. So the book is coming along. And then as I finish that, I will wash my hands of Islam for a little bit. Other than like doing Q&A streams and debates and whatnot on the topic.
Mhm.
But I'll make a significantly more Christian content in the near future. I might get canceled next month. That'll be fun.
Oh,
I'm going to
boy.
put out a video on, is homosexuality objectively bad for society? And I have all the statistics, I have all the receipts. So that is going to be interesting. And I'm like going to help demonstrate that, yeah, no, this has been a horrible experiment. We should not be practicing any of the LGBT stuff. It's all bad for you. So I have all the numbers. I'm just going to make a case, not from a spiritual case, not from a Bible-based case, but just from a pragmatic case. Is homosexuality good for you as an individual, and is it good for a society as a whole? The answer to both is no, it's not. So I'm gonna put that out on the first day of Pride Week or Pride Month.
Oh, okay.
So that's gonna be in 2 weeks. So we'll see. See how YouTube handles that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Other than that, I'm gonna make a bunch of Talmudic Dilemma videos, and then we'll make Christian stuff again. But yeah. Any final thoughts?
As always, thanks everybody for tuning in. Hopefully you gained a little bit more of an interest in some of the books you thought maybe weren't to your taste, or maybe didn't have much for you in them. And as always, thanks Chris for having me on, and Chris, thank you for your prayers for my stomach earlier, and anybody else who joined in on that, because I think I am going to try and eat something after we get off of here, which will be hopefully very fun for me. And and maybe by tomorrow I'll be all better and I can go to my jobs again and get my work done, because that was stressing me out today. It's no fun being stomach sick, because it's one of those, well, you like to keep it one of those that's invisible to other people, and so it's hard to tell your boss like, I should probably stay home, and because you don't have much proof, and then you feel bad. But feeling pretty good right now, and I'm going to test some crackers. I think some crackers and rice, and see how that does. But thanks for the prayers,
Uh,
everybody. And Leviticus is cool. The Torah is cool. It's based. Chris is based. And I did like how we had the four people we had on the one time on the screen tonight all have uh, strong opinions in a lot of different directions. And because we all love Jesus, we are able and willing to talk about them with each other and not be accusative or rude or and not make up silly things because we don't want to talk about the arguments of the other person. So I like that, and I hope other people see that and like that too, and make that a point to follow, because it is difficult uh, to have talks about things you care deeply about with other people who cares deeply about something else that doesn't line up with you, and trying to keep it civil and productive. But Jesus makes it a lot easier, I think. So I'm happy to have Chris, and we'll see. Maybe we can get each other to Sam Shamoon one another on a on a coming live stream, and then and then we'll
man's
see
praying
really
for
who's got the
downfall.
strongest argument, or the loosest mother. I mean that morally.
Oh no. All right. Yeah. So it's amazing if you actually love God and love man and love each other that you can like have unity and
Hmm.
friendship, even though you disagree about things.
Hmm.
Crazy. Yeah. But yeah.
So you heard it,
Anyway.
folks. Me and Chris are working on our boxing moves, and
Oh
we're gonna get
yes.
our best arguments, and we're gonna have at it, and then we'll let the people
Yes.
decide. Uh,
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can.
But I think
Whoever has the strongest argument, you send in $100 to that person, and then whoever ends up with the most money at the end, uh, is rich, and then everybody's happy, right? That's why we do this, Chris. Right?
no, that's not why we do this. No, that's not why we do this. The stream strengthened my mom. Yeah, no. Whenever I finish the first rough draft of the book, I think I will work on making my response to your argument. Because your argument is not a Judaizer argument. I have a
Right,
Judaizer argument. The Judaizer
right,
argument is
and it's
very
good.
simple, very,
Yeah.
very clean. But I've never actually, I mean, other than like the conversations we've had, I've never like, even like after the conversations out, I still have not had the mental capacity to just like sit down and try to
Right.
like reason through all of it, other than just
Hmm.
like real time, like what we're talking about. Um, so it'll be interesting to see what happens whenever we both just like sit down and really think about all of the nuances and everything else, and then discuss it on stream together.
Yeah, I think it'll
I think
be
that's gonna be pretty
really
fruitful.
fun. I'm gonna like that.
Yeah, yeah. Who knows? We might get many people that come to keeping Torah, and might get people not to keep Torah.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm interested in what's going to happen because I would rather be truthful and follow God wherever He actually wants us to be, rather than cling to dogmas that were invented by humans. So,
It's the Gamliel principle from Acts. If there's any truth to this, uh, then who are we to fight against it? And if there's not, then we don't have to worry about it, because we know what happens to things like that. They fizzle out. So if the truth
mhm,
is the objective, then everybody wins.
yep. And if we all follow Yeshua, it doesn't matter because He saves us in the end.
Hmm.
So, what's your relationship with Him? What's your love for Him? Do you know Him? Or will He say, "Get behind me, I never knew you" on Judgment Day? And my worry is for
Terrifying.
people like Fazy there is he's gonna say, "Get behind me. I never knew you." And I worry for you, Fazy. I really do. And we pray for you every week. So we'll be keep praying. Um yeah. Come to Christ.
I like that he comes back. He's
Me
he's
too.
getting good information whether he intends to or not. I hope there's some little bit of him that's here that as because he's interested and not just to come poke people in the internet
Right.
eye, but
Just the Holy Spirit is like pulling on, tugging on him.
Hmm,
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. This time next year, FaZe will be a Christian. It's gonna be based.
that'd be fun. That'd
Um,
be great.
Yeah. Well, we'll do a ex-Muslim testimony stream again. But okay. Thank you all for coming out. For those still watching on Christian's channel, because there's like 4 of you right now. Thank you for watching on Christian's channel too. This is the Christian Gadfly special without Christian Gadfly.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
for those watching on my channel, hello.
Can y'all keep
Anyway,
it down? I'm trying to get a baby to go to sleep.
You need. Oh, so me and Christian have talked on the phone several times, and one of the times I mentioned that you do a really good impression of him. He giggled so hard at that. I need you to do it next time you guys are on together.
Okay.
I need it to happen. I want to see his reaction live too. I don't even want to like clip it and send it to him. I just want to, because he doesn't watch his streams. He's not going to watch the end of this stream. So I want I want to see his reaction to your impression live.
Yeah, I'll have to do it
Anyway.
where it's like not even, unprovoked and just out of the blue so we can get his 100% genuine laugh at it.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be good. We can clip that. Anyway, thanks for coming out. Wednesday, I'll be streaming with Ash on a call-in stream. We're gonna be, I don't know the exact topic, but it'll be a call-in for either Jews or atheist or just anyone. And then I will be doing a stream with Chase and Andrew from Sons of Thunder Apologia on something. Probably. Oh, we might be doing the Mormon stuff. We might be doing a Mormon stream
Ooh.
this week. And then I'm supposed to be streaming with IP sometime, but we haven't set a date yet. So that'll be the upcoming, maybe this week, maybe a couple weeks after. Need to message him again. But yeah, thanks for coming
Super
out.
swell.
Yeah, next week we're probably going to jump into the New Testament unless we keep doing typologies with the Old Testament. The only other one I think I'd want to do would be like the tabernacle or some of the like the ephod or the high priest garments, like all those type of things. We might do a stream on that. Otherwise, we'll probably jump into the New Testament, maybe go through like John, which will be a fun stream.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Awesome.
okay. Thank you all for coming out. Laila Tov. I almost left the stream instead of ending it again because I keep doing that.
Lila Tov, everybody.
May the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit with you always. FaZe will be praying for you.